Right. Ah, three whites and a blue. Oh, I got the ham and pumpkin thing. When
Oh,
he went to go get dinner, I opened the
the
loot
eating one?
box. No,
Nice.
I got him the skin.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
I mean, I honestly, if I could give it to you, I would, because I never play him, and I know that you actually know how to play him. So like, if I could gift it to you, I would. Like, hey Blizzard, if you're watching a stream with 0 viewers, as you should be, um,
What are you talking about?
give
Blizzard
Gold
doesn't listen to
Dragon.
us.
That's a good point. Give Gold Dragon my pumpkin skin, or whatever it's called. This is a verbal agreement.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Blizzard doesn't listen to its fans.
Yeah, that's true.
I got a
I
highlight
still
intro.
like.
Doomfist.
I don't
Which,
know, like, what the deal with Mercy is. Like, is she in a better spot now, or is she just like, I don't know. I know she's like pretty much worthless at the pro level, which is fine. Um, because I think you were playing her for one game and you did really well with her. So I think like in just like casual games, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. She's in an odd place. She has been since the game
Yeah.
launched. It's in the game, but at the same time, she's pretty shit.
Her playstyle is like vastly different than most other heroes.
Yeah, it's sit back, relax, and just heal everybody. Try not to die.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to like distance Overwatch from that style, like because that's kind of what Torbjorn used to do, but now they made him like much more like aggressive with the whole like basically fortifying himself like Orisa can do, even though it's slightly different. Like he gets armor rather than increasing damage resistance per se. So
See, this is how they fix Mercy. She
like if they were
gets
worried about people sitting in the background not really contributing a whole lot, why didn't they take a look at Widowmaker? I guess because she gets those picks. Even though
yeah,
she's
those
probably
high
like
impact kills.
watching Widowmaker play, if it's not at the pro level, is just like it's really sad. It's just lots of missed shots, lots of standing around, occasionally shooting at her Venom Mine. 9 out of 10 times it gets shot and destroyed as soon as she places it. It's just I mean, when you see pro players play her like Surefour and stuff, like that's dope. But like when you see like your average Joe playing Widowmaker, it's just dull. Like even your average Joe playing Winston is like pretty exciting because he's jumping around and stuff. Um, I'd actually argue, I think this is a fair argument. I'd say watching Mercy play at the amateur level is extremely more interesting than watching Widowmaker play at the amateur level. Because at least
Okay,
with
I think I
Mercy,
have a.
you're darting around.
I think I might have a way to make Mercy more of an active character.
How's that?
Take away her staff, take away her healing staff, and what you do is instead of having the staff, what she does is like Lucio emits an aura that heals or damage boosts her teammates. Give her a better gun like Sombra's SMG for instance.
Mm.
And then have Valkyrie, just the same thing. She pulls her staff back out, and she just heals everybody. But it's increased to a massive point.
Mm. I wonder if they would ever
It might.
I feel like they could make like a Mercy 2.0 character, like a character with a completely different backstory and design that functions that way. Because I feel like what they have going on with Mercy now is that she's relatively pacifist and like just heals and doesn't really play super aggressively. So I feel like if they actually gave her like a legit gun, like it'd be like different from how her character was intended to be. So I think if they release like another healer, which I think they should just keep releasing healers in this game because then maybe people will play them.
Or tanks.
Then yeah, like Hammond is all right, but also like Hammond can be like a major feed when he's played by somebody that
Yeah.
doesn't know how to play him.
Especially because he has so much health and so much defense. He's basically just an ult farmer.
Yeah. Because you're supposed to
If you
play like
if
to the edge of your health. That's why they have that defense shield, the yeah, the matrix thing you have, or so
yeah,
like
the defense, yeah, the armor.
Roadhog is kind of similar, except Roadhog punishes you for getting greedy. Like if you try to take on a
Exactly.
Roadhog single-handedly, yeah, you'll farm a lot of ult from damaging him. You might even get close to killing him, but chances are he'll survive and just kill you, and then then all of your ult can walk back from the spawn. So
Yeah.
it's a gamble with him, and but with Hammond, I feel like if you engage a Hammond, there's a decent chance you'll get away. Like when I was playing Moira against Hammonds earlier this evening, they just weren't a threat. Even though I was right in front of them, usually I'd even get hit by their slam a little bit, but I just heal myself from damaging them and be on my merry way. So
That's why I
I
was saying that I think they should buff up Hammond's damage just slightly.
I could see that. Maybe if they increase like his headshot damage, so it'd be like less spray and pray. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that
Yeah.
if they were to change Moira to make her a little bit more balanced, because I think she is overpowered. Not like game breaking, not like it ruins the experience. I think it's like a fun kind of overpowered because she's just so versatile. I think if they wanted to change her, they should make her orbs, heal, or damage much higher. But at the same time, they should get rid of the life steal on her normal attack. Because then that way, like,
I
normally when
forgot
you're
that had
playing,
lifesteal.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not crazy life steal, but it's still
Not Reaper
noteworthy.
level.
Yeah, if you can just outmaneuver people, you can just keep yourself alive through all their little tick damage, um, which is really fun. But the way it kind of goes, like if two Moiras go against each other currently, it's they'll usually either throw a damage or a healing orb, so that they try to DPS the other Moira before they get DPS themselves. And if you throw a life orb, then that means you have more resilience against them. I think if they changed the way the orbs worked, Moira can still heal herself with the orbs because they're on a pretty reasonable cooldown. And she also has Blink, or whatever it's called, Fade.
Right.
And the damage orbs are decent, but you usually got to finish them off with using your default right click also. So, I mean, if they just up the damage for those and up the healing and got rid of the lifesteal on her normal attack, I say they keep it for the ult, but on her normal attack, I don't think that would be. I think that would make it a little bit better because that way the Moira wouldn't be like constantly just darting into the enemy team and keeping herself alive off of one Hanzo that can't aim or something like that.
Or their tank that just is struggling.
Yeah, like going up against a Reinhardt with a Moira is like it's very manageable because even if they hit you with their fire strike, you can just get all
You
of
can
your
just heal
health
it back.
Yeah, basically if they throw their fire strike at you and then put their shield up within the animation of them doing the fire strike and putting their shield back up, you could probably have like restored like maybe a fourth of your health or a fourth of the damage you would have taken from fire strike, give or take. Depending how fast their reflexes are. So I don't think that like she's currently broken, like I said. I just think that if they really wanted to like play to her abilities more, which I know they do with a lot of the heroes, like Winston for example. Winston's abilities are the main thing that makes him like good. His normal damage is kind of not really. You're not going to be playing a
shit.
Yeah. If you were to just run around as Winston and not use his abilities, you would just be trashed. I feel like if you ran around and used Moira without her abilities, you'd be fine. But so I think if they wanted to adjust her, they might want to do the orbs, do more of whatever they're doing, because then you would need to place them a lot more consciously. Because currently, like, if you throw a bad healing orb and it bounces out of the room you're trying to throw it in, like, it's not the end of the world because it wouldn't have healed a whole lot anyway, and it only bounces a few times. And same with damage orb. Like, I don't think I've ever entirely killed a person with a damage orb. It's always been either cleaning up a kill or
Or just
I throw
chip
the
damage.
yeah, I'll throw the damage orb in. It'll do like a third of their health, even if I threw it perfectly, and then I'll just finish them off with the rest of the team. Like it's it's not particularly scary. I don't think Moira's orbs are scary, and I don't need to adjust my play style really. When I see a Moira orb, be it healing or damage coming towards me and the team, because I'll be like, oh, all right, that's a damage orb. That might inconvenience me a little bit. It's not going to kill me. It's not even really going to put me in danger. And if you see a healing orb, you're like, well, that's that. That's going to heal them a little bit. Whatever. We'll just need to deal extra damage. But if those orbs were stronger, that would, like, make deflecting them with Genji or absorbing them with Diva's defense matrix, like, much better. And actively
Yeah, make
make
it
those
much more
characters better.
worthwhile.
Yeah, because if you soak up a healing orb that the rest of your team is banking on, it's like the same as soaking up one on his nano grenades. It's like the same
Yeah.
kind of helpfulness. But yeah, that's my
Personally,
2 cents.
I would like to see Moira's health, her healing power regenerate faster.
Yeah,
I know you can get more by using your attack, but she's a healer, and I think that's where people got the idea of DPS Moira, was because she did so much damage and her healing was at the time quite bad.
yeah, I definitely see that. Like, I'll notice I'm trying usually prioritizing damage a bit, just because if I rely too much on healing, then there's going to be a point where I run out of healing, and I'll be in a position where I can't really deal damage, so I'm just stuck there being basically worthless.
Right.
So I try to I mainly rely on the orbs to do the healing. If I see my team group together, that's when I throw in a healing orb. Because I know people will be like,
Perfect.
oh, DPS or healing Moira. There's kind of a divide. There's DPS or healing Moira with her primary fire, and then there's DPS or healing Moira with her orbs. And so you can do a bit of the DPS Moira if, to compensate, you do the orb style of healing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I assume
And I know
vice versa is the same.
one thing that I hate doing with Moira is running out of healing juice and realizing, ah shit, it's not going to regenerate in time. Now I have to go dive the enemy team or die.
Yeah.
Or both.
Well, it's something you can
basically
do in a
sit there.
situation like that. If you can have one enemy that's sort of on the periphery, you can retreat while throwing a healing orb on you, and if they pursue you, normally it won't be the entire team. It'll typically be the fastest of their characters. You can soak some
Yeah.
damage from them and then complete your retreat.
We've been playing Overwatch together for about a year now, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's true.
Every time you see me dive in, you watch their entire team converge on me, right?
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
talking
know
of-
why it happens. It's always just me.
I mean, you play a lot of main tank. And also, did you play Zenyatta recently? I feel like I saw you playing
Yeah,
Zenyatta recently.
I was playing him earlier today.
Yeah. I noticed that, you were always, the last person alive on the point as Zenyatta and stuff, which means that you're playing healer the right way. Of course you're supposed to keep your teammates alive, and you
But
did
you're
all
also
you
supposed
could.
to not die.
Yeah, and you're also supposed to not die. And Zenyatta has a sort of set healing amount. So if you're doing that and you're discording people and you're attacking people, you're doing all you can. And then if you, while doing all you can, end up being the last person on the point, then that means you've prevented them from targeting you enough, which is ideal for healers. And that's sort of I feel like that's where Brigitte can make some bad habits. Because I think she's the only healer that actually benefits from really going up against the enemy team.
Yeah, because she just has that passive heal. Every time she hits somebody, she heals herself.
Yeah. Also, like with Moira, like Moira is also kind of aggro because she has limited range on her attack and her healing and damage. But if you see a bunch of enemies with Moira that you can't take on, you can just throw a healing orb to your team and let them and help them handle it. Or you can throw a damage orb into them and retreat and get a ton of ult charge while inconveniencing them. So that's what's cool about Moira. Like she doesn't exactly make that habit of always going balls to the wall, running in, trying to get kills. Whereas I feel like Brigitte, like you kind of got to do that. You got to get in there and clean up kills and stuff like that, which is helpful. But like, I don't find Brigitte fun to play. I think half the time I'm like just instantly dying with her, and the other half of the time I'll be setting myself up in a good position, and I'll attack the enemy, and then the rest of the team isn't there to follow up, and then I die instantly.
Yeah, I find that is kind of a thing with Brigitte. Like, she's super strong 1v1. Like, she's the best 1v1 hero in the game, if you ask me.
I'd agree with that
But
statement.
but when if you're going against someone with a team, literally just another person, no matter what hero it is, you could walk in, you could probably like merc on someone 1v1 and then have their teammate show up, doesn't matter who it is, like Diva. Diva's damage is shit, but it's still enough pressure and enough DPS going into her that her healing can't compensate for it.
Yeah, and also like the complaints about animation canceling and CC and stuff like that, that's valid. I agree 100% with that.
Oh yeah,
At the same time, like Brigitte has, say, two sort of CC abilities, and
yeah, the shield
she,
bash and her poke.
yeah, and so if she like both of those is more than enough to take care of one person, but it's pretty much you're just going to be trading if you're playing against a team that's somewhat coordinated. So like
Yeah.
if you kill whatever you're targeting and then their teammate just cleans you up, that's I guess that's a way to play the game, but it doesn't sound like the ideal way. But like if your Brigitte and your team are really in tune with each other, they can cover your escape, like throwing a healing orb from Zenyatta onto Brigitte, or even just throwing a healing orb with Moira is extremely helpful. And once a Brigitte starts getting rolling like that, that can be the sort of initiator for a lot of fights.
Oh yeah,
But then the
Rally is
problem,
just super good.
yeah. But the
Rally's
problem,
great.
like with most heroes, comes down to the fact that is your team going to actually help? Are they going to be
Oh
there when you
yeah.
need them, or just dying in their own individual skirmishes?
And if you're not in a stack, the general consensus is no.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like the way the mindset for pros is probably entirely different than the mindset of like casual players, because they're used to playing in teams, and they're like
Yeah, of course.
used to games where it's like teamwork against teamwork, rather than just strictly skill against skill. Because like skill only gets you so far. To get to Overwatch League, you got to
Right.
be good teammate. But like with a casual experience, teamwork doesn't matter to most people. So it just ends up being
It's just
skill, and that's when you end up getting thrown in
it's
those games with Widowmaker just popping everybody, and it's boring.
yeah, and it's you get the edgy 12-year-olds that want to play Genji. It's like what is with games adding in people with snipers, bows, or a ninja character that everyone just wants to play them even though they're fucking terrible, and everyone else on the team just has to suffer because you got this one brain dead asshole trying to sit there
Like the
and
thing about
be
Genji
edgelord
is
99.
Genji takes a lot of like team awareness. Because if a Genji takes on a 1v1 person, Genji's gonna lose most of the time unless that's a particular character that Genji's made to play against. Like a Genji and a McCree, like you can usually get them in time. Um,
Right.
So, but you got to be aware of the enemy team because even a really good Genji against a perfect target, if that target has a friend with them, it's over. The Genji can't do shit. So, like all these like kids and stuff will try to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Genji. He's the coolest," and then they'll play Genji, and then their team won't back them up, and then they'll get tilted, and then they'll just make this really unhappy, unhelpful cycle that they get caught in.
Right,
Like,
and then they'll just start throwing.
yeah, like in order to play Genji like Siegel, because I've watched a lot of Siegel's Genji play. Every single thing Siegel does with Genji is like extremely planned out and is extremely precise. Like the only reason he can crush with Genji is because he's completely outplaying the other person he's playing against. And there's no room for negotiation on that. If the other person is just slightly too good, or if he slips up in the slightest, that's it. And that's just how the cookie crumbles for him. But like, cause he's a pro, like he usually like knows exactly where every single person on the enemy team is. He knows where their cooldowns are at. He has all the information he needs to do those ambushes. Just because you can do stuff like that with Genji doesn't mean it's a reliable thing that can happen unless you're a pro.
Oh, oh yeah, exactly. Like I watched the that one Korean pro Genji that everyone was accusing of aimbotting for a while, and
Yeah.
he's just insane. The flicks that he hits, the blades that he just hits, it's amazing. It's like this guy's untouchable.
Yeah, and like with Genji, especially with his Dragon Blade, you got to know where everybody is. You got to have situational awareness, awareness of your team, awareness of their team. It's not as easy as you would think, and it's almost like 99% of the time, I'd say playing Genji isn't even worth it because like he just requires
he's a high
you to be
risk, high reward hero.
yeah, and it just requires a massive amount of mechanical skill, and if you slip at all, you're just going to die instantly, and your team is going to be down a sixth of their power.
Right.
So it's
That's the problem. That's the thing with a lot of these dive DPS, like Tracer and Genji. They're high risk, high reward characters, and if you just slip up, you're dead.
yeah,
You have
and
to
like
play perfectly the entire time.
with Genji, because your cooldown is tied to like eliminations and stuff, that adds a whole other layer of difficulty because that's not like a reliable cooldown timer. Like it does have a default timer, but you can get your dash back faster if you eliminate somebody. So if you go in and have these really fancily orchestrated plays, you can actually have some decent mobility with Genji and evasiveness.
Right.
But Tracer is just, in my opinion, as a non-pro, so much better because Tracer you can hold down the triggers and just focus on mobility, and you usually like 90% of the time you have mobility options at your disposal, be it either a blink or a recall. And because you remember that game we were losing really hard, and then I switched to Tracer and we were able to turn it around. That's because Tracer does a crazy amount of damage, and she's really obnoxious to deal with. But Genji, he doesn't really do a crazy amount of damage unless you're hitting those triple headshots with the default fire mode, or you're like literally inside of a tank's character model when you're doing the fan kind of throw with 3 shurikens. And it's doing that is so much harder than just like aiming and moving around with Tracer. I don't know why more people don't just play Tracer because she's amazing and surprisingly reliable if you have a bunch of targets that are kind of uncoordinated. So I don't see the appeal of Genji. I honestly don't even think he's that cool of a character. He seems kind of not bland, not generic, but just kind of like, he doesn't really vibe with me. I like Tracer a lot more. McCree, I think, has some style to him. Hanzo also, like, because you can see the arrow arc and fall with Hanzo, and like when you just see that line up perfectly with somebody's head, it's just such a satisfying feeling. Which is funny because the storm bow ability I don't find is entertaining because it makes it like hit scan basically. So it never really appealed to me.
You miss your simple geometry.
I miss my simple geometry, dude. It's funny, as soon as I started playing Moira, I got her simple trigonometry achievement, because all it takes is, like, in one game, you gotta have a healing orb completely be used up on your team and have a damage orb be used up on the enemy team. Like, rather than it despawning normally. And it's really easy if you have a team that groups up, and it's really easy if you have an enemy team that groups up.
Simple geometry.
It's so sad that the Dragons animated short for Overwatch now is like not actually a thing anymore. Because he has that one part where he does a scatter arrow.
Yeah. I think they really fucked up Hanzo trying to make him more accessible. I agree with his dash. I hate Storm Arrow.
Yeah, I guess it I guess it tries to coax him into being more aggressive, which I think in any sniper character that's good, because Widowmaker is so non-aggressive it's boring unless you're a pro, of course.
Yeah.
And Ana is usually pretty finicky, trying to, or not finicky, pretty parsnickety, trying to stay out of the combat. So she kind of sticks to the sidelines too. But now Hanzo like kind of leaps to the forefront, which I kind of understand. But at the same time, like, I don't think Storm Arrow feels like Hanzo. It feels like a different character's kind of ability. I think Scatter Arrow was a lot more his kind of attitude, I guess.
Yeah. It to me, Scatter seemed more like kind of like more like a ninja move, I guess you would say, because it's like firing a bunch of I almost want to say caltrops into a room and just having them bounce around, but I know that's not right. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It seems more like that. And if I'm not mistaking the lore, Hanzo and Genji were from like a crime family
Yeah.
that were like descended from ninja or something. I don't remember the lore very well.
Something like that. I think it also just made sense because he has Sonic Arrow, you know? Like, that's about knowing where people are through the wall, which is specifically made for lining up those wall deflection scatter arrow hits. Like, that's not how people played him, sadly. They just shot the ground and had it work that way, which wasn't really ideal.
Right.
But his abilities did synchronize like that. Where now, like, yeah, Sonic Arrow helps you know when it's time to use the Arrow Storm thing, but it's not really quite the same. Though, I will say that Arrow Storm makes your run-of-the-mill Hanzo better, which is good because we encounter a lot of casual Hanzo players because we're casual players.
Right.
And, like, it's tricky sometimes to pull off a scatter arrow kill. It has a lot of luck to do with it sometimes. Where a storm arrow kill is a lot more reliable for your average person because it's just spam, and spam is always going to be easier than like really difficult shots.
Right. I'm sad to say that, but Overwatch just seems like it's slowly dying, and the devs just keep beating the dead horse.
Yeah, I mean, I love this game. I love its style.
I do
Does
too.
the
I love the characters. They're great.
Yeah,
They have personality. They have style. They're their own characters. They're not generic soldier asshole number 47.
yeah, it's 76.
Exactly.
No, but I know
Generic
what you
soldier
mean, yeah.
asshole number 76.
Yeah,
But
I like what they did with the characters. I wish they gave more backstory because like that would be kind of cool. It's not crucial in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people that like demand lore, and I'm not really one of those people per se. But
I mean, their lore is fun. It's not something I'm like, I must have. I'm foaming at the mouth to have this lore.
yeah, exactly. But I think it's tricky because this is such like an idyllic game, like with the characters and it being in the future and everything's really cool and characters are really cool and colorful and developed and all these awesome abilities. But then when they introduce like the human element to it, like the actual people playing it, that's when all the cracks start to show. And I can't even really
Right.
fully blame the developers. It's just like it's just this is how people are. Like this is how they get this is how they're playing the game, and these are the steps the developers have tried to take to make that experience better. And because people are finicky and stuff like that, it's not always going to be a not always going to be a satisfying resolution.
You
I
can't
feel
please
like
everyone.
yeah, if Blizzard wanted to make this game perfect, they should just nerf human beings into not being in the game. If robots played this game, this would be like the best game ever. Because there wouldn't be like all the scumbagginess of people playing it.
Yeah. And it's sad because every time I'm sitting there on YouTube just chilling out and I see all these people like Overwatch is dying, here's why, and I'm like, you bring up some good points, but it's not dying, I would say, but it's going to start dying because it's getting stale, and all they're doing is adding in new heroes, and those new heroes push more and more people away. Because I'm going to be honest, when Brigitte first came out, I wanted to quit.
A lot of people did for a while.
She was everywhere, and there was literally no way to counter her at the time. Because no one knew
Yeah.
how.
And I like honestly,
And,
everything they've done since Brigida being released has been to has been to like make her not as overpowered as she tends to be.
right, and then now Sombra's sitting here. At first, she was a niche pick. And I didn't mind Sombra being a niche pick. Sure, I would have liked her to be a little bit better. Now she's overpowered, she's everywhere, and she's being a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I definitely think the dev team went a little too far with her abilities.
Yeah. It's like because there is a very delicate ecosystem in Overwatch, and like any ecosystem, adding in a new branch to it, a new species to it, can have like catastrophic effects.
Catastrophic.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad because I do like this game, and it makes me sad to see it in such a bad shape. The community is kind of like the most toxic thing on the internet. It's arguably worse than the League of Legends community.
Yeah. And also there's a
And
huge fracture between the pros and the casual players because Blizzard honestly can only tailor to one of those groups. I hate to say it, but it's kind of it kind of feels that way. Where
oh yeah,
and so like I feel bad for the pros that get dicked over sometimes, and then I feel bad for the just casual players who are just trying to get on this game and have a good time, but all these balance changes and characters made for the pro meta have compromised the casual meta and made it just kind of like a wild west of insanity.
see, and that's one thing I really liked about StarCraft. If you ask me, StarCraft is balance done right because it's such a skill-based game that balance, sure, it helps, but it doesn't matter how bad, it doesn't matter how good you are, if you don't have that skill that the other guy has, you're going to get dicked over. If you don't have the APM, or you don't have the knowledge of the game or the map, you're going to get dicked over and lose.
Hmm.
And sure, there's cheesy builds that are like anti-skill, anti-fun, but those are easily counterable.
Yeah.
One thing that I really wasn't a fan of that Blizzard did with StarCraft was with God, what was the last expansion? Legacy of the Void. They made it so you started with 12 workers instead of 6.
Hmm.
And so there was a cheesy strategy with the Zerg called the 6 pool, where they would just get all the money they could, put down a spawning pool, and then just spawn as many units as they could. Personally, I never used it, but I miss it because if you failed the 6 pool, you basically forfeited the game.
Uh,
That happened to me once when I was playing. Some guy decided to 6 pool me. I knew because it was a low ranked game that he would try something like that, so I walled off. And when he showed up at my base, he got run over.
uh,
And that's my thing on balance. Is they need to call David Kim. They need to pull him out of his office and say, David, I need you to fix my game.
I mean,
I think Jeff Kaplan should go do that.
I agree with everything you said and like, but the thing is, I like Overwatch. I feel like any game that you really get into, like really love and like watch videos about and everything, there's going to be a point where you sort of start hearing talks of metas and like the optimal setups and everything. And in a way that kind of makes the game start to become toxic and difficult and frustrating. I think that every shooter I've ever played has had that capability and has sort of met that capability. Except for games that are like full on casual, like Halo 3 for instance. 99.9% of the people that played Halo 3 were playing it like just for fun with their buddies. And yeah, there was like a pro
Right.
scene, but they kind of like kept to themselves, and Halo isn't complicated enough for it to require all these balance changes and stuff. Like with Overwatch, you kind of always got to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in this game. And I'm sure like that keeps it fresh, yeah, but like I I miss the simplicity of some other games. Some other like shooters.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of why I quit playing Smite. Was because every week they had a new balance patch. Every Tuesday there would be something new to the game, and I just couldn't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't. I leave the game I miss a month of balance patches, and all of a sudden I can't play the game anymore.
Yeah.
Because the meta has shifted so wildly. And the game, for some reason, became so toxic. Quite literally. I've had games where I was doing amazing, and I die once, and the guy's like, "Oh, you should fucking kill yourself. You died. You're so fucking bad." And I'm like, dude, I have 95% of the kills on this of this team. You have 45% of our deaths. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
talking.
I don't know.
And I don't know.
think that
I don't know how games get that way.
yeah, I think the time of like just simple first-person shooter games is kind of gone because you got to do something interesting these days because everything has kind of been done before. Overwatch brought in
Right.
the cool visuals, and I don't think Overwatch is the only game that has frequent balance changes and stuff. But Overwatch brought in like the really nice visuals. It wasn't even the first game to do the different like different characters you can play as, and it definitely won't be the last game to do it. But like I know the new Black Ops coming out is sort of emulating Overwatch in a way as like different characters having different abilities, and I almost wonder if that's like kind of the wrong direction to take it. I think if you make like a
For Call
really
of-
really just solid first person shooter, you could have a game that's
For
like
Call of Duty, yeah.
yeah. I mean look at Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike's been played the same way for like fucking like 800 years. Like, there's no different classes, there's none of that stuff. Like, it's very straightforward how to play. And you can become a pro at it. And you can also play casually. So, I don't know. I wish there was more games like that. That just were so consistent. that they would never need balance changes or anything. It was just they made a solid system that's balanced, and then they just let people play it.
Nah, man, that takes work. Game developers don't want to work.
I'm sure it
They want to
takes
take
so
the
much
easy
like
way out.
it takes probably so much testing to try to do that. And also, I know that
Oh,
like it's not. I don't solely blame the developers. Like I know the community can be so fucking bitchy so often, and like that makes the developers like it lights a fire under the developers, and likely causes them to make decisions that end up affecting the game negatively in the long run. Because there are God, so many gamers specifically just feel so entitled.
oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame. Like I don't feel like Blizzard deserves the criticism because they've basically just been responding to outcry from the community. And as long as there's been video games, there's been people complaining about some aspect of the video games. So Blizzard's like
Right.
constantly every day like doing their best trying to fix this thing. The community's like, "Well, this thing sucks now." And then they're like, "Oh shit, well, I guess we'll need to fix that next." And then I'm sure there's a point where they're just like, what are we doing with our lives?" Like the community, I don't think will ever be fully satisfied. I think it's at a low point now. I don't think it's at the lowest point. Like there's been times in the past where like I couldn't even touch this game. The times have like sort of changed since then, for a litany of reasons. But I definitely agree with you that it's at a kind of a low point right now. But I don't think it's the worst point ever.
No, I don't think so either. There there just needs to be a compromise, and gamers just don't want to compromise.
Yeah, everybody wants it exactly their way. It's that consumer mindset.
Exactly. And
Anyway,
it just kind of sucks because people, like you said, they want it their way. It's their way or the highway.
yeah. Like if you nerf one character, then you're gonna be getting, or like if you buff one character, you're gonna be getting like yells from like one tricks who play a different character, be like, "Oh, our character needs a buff. Look at all the stuff that's wrong with our character." That like they notice because they one trick that hero, and so like I feel like Blizzard's always like, "All right, who's like the least effective hero currently?" And then they try to buff that character. Or, like who's too powerful right now, and then they nerf that character. And just like it's everybody just complaining about wanting their own personal character, their own personal experience to be the best it could possibly be for them, rather than actually
Right.
just like becoming good with all the characters because it's tricky.
And and I know that there's a lot of outcry recently in the community about uh, any forum about Bastion being opened is shoved away into like a mega thread, and people are like, "But Bastion needs a buff. He's not in a good place." I'm like, "What game have you guys been playing?" If you ask me,
Ba-
Bastion's in a pretty good place right now. He's a
I
very
think Bastion
niche
is
pick.
one of those. Bastion is one of those heroes that like doesn't require a lot of skill, and
Right.
like rather than having a smooth like sort of slope in effectiveness and not towards the higher ranks, Bastion just goes to a certain point and it just fucking plummets. Because
Right. And
pro Overwatch players
that's
can just murk Bastion till the cows come home. It requires no skill from them because they know all of the techniques for taking him out and they can just out mechanics him. But like in a
right.
casual
And
experience, there's a problem.
I think that's why people are crying out that Bastion needs more love and attention from Blizzard. And I'm kind of torn on that because I think he's in a fine place right now. Sure,
Yeah.
sure he could be in a little bit of a better place, but when they tried to last time they tried to put a character in a little bit of a better place, we got Sombra.
Yeah. Like the thing about Bastion is I guess people forgot how terrible he was to deal with at the start.
Oh yeah, when he
Um
had a shield.
Yeah. And like,
When
yeah,
he
I
would
can see that he has more counters nowadays. Like Sombra specifically was made to counter Bastion, but he's still really, really powerful, even in relatively unskilled hands, and especially against unskilled players. Because he's a single, like, if you're in his view and you're within a certain range, you're going to get shredded. And if you have a team that's unwilling or unable to find alternate routes or totally focus him down, then the game's going to be at a standstill. Um, so I guess people refusing to adapt, either refusing to adapt which hero they're playing, or refusing to adapt to a new method of going through a game, like a new strategy. That's where Bastions is most powerful. And of course that's going to happen in like solo queue and quick play and early comp because there's just not enough coordination. But I do think that
Right.
like Bastion getting a buff, I think that would make like casual players experience 10 times worse while making the pro players experience a little bit like the smallest bit better, maybe. But honestly, who wants to play Bastion? Like I don't think I know any pro players that like playing Bastion. And I don't think it's because he's not powerful enough or he's not meta or whatever. I think it's just because he's boring. Like,
Yeah, it's literally you turn into a turret and you just sit in one spot and hope no one gets past you.
yeah. Like it's and the only joy in playing Bastion is when you do get that big lumbering target who's out of position and you can just shred through his shield and his health or whatever. And that's the briefest moment and then it's like over. Like I tried playing Soldier and then playing Bastion, and they're both surprisingly similar with their primary fire. I think Bastion's clip size might be a little bit bigger than Soldier's in his primary fire, but don't quote me on that.
I think they're
The
both
damage drop off
30.
is uh um but I don't know, Bastion just felt clunkier because he doesn't have like a mobility option. Because like with Soldier, you can just dart away when you're in danger. With Bastion, you kind of got to just hunker down and hope that you can
Heal it
eat your way
off.
through it that way. Yeah. So like Bastion is, I guess, more fun than Orisa because every now and then you get to just shred somebody. With like Orisa, you don't really get to do that as often. Um,
Well, they buffed Orisa so she can do that now. They reduced her weapon spread.
yeah, which I'm glad about. Um, but it still like doesn't quite feel the same as Bastion because Bastion you barely even need to aim. You just get to see the person in the cardinal direction in front of you just goes away.
Right.
Um, and there's satisfaction
And
to be had in that, but the rest of the time you play him, it's just boring. You're always just like either sitting there not doing anything, or you're getting shot and you don't have a proper position to fight back, so you're just running away and healing, waiting for your teams to save you. It's just, it's lame. It's not fun.
right, and the most fun, if you ask me, the most fun you can have with Bastion is sitting on the point with a Reinhardt and a Orisa and just start singing "You Are a Pirate." That's the most fun you can ever have with Bastion.
Yeah. And I'm sure that gets boring at some point also. Like I don't think it's boring currently because I don't do that very often because that would require me playing Bastion and having teammates that would be supportive of that. But yeah, I just think he's like really boring to play. I think that like Ana can sometimes be boring to play. Bastion's definitely boring to play. Brigitte, kinda. Diva occasionally. Doomfist, not really. I feel like Doomfist is always kind of exhilarating to play. It's either you're exhilarating because you're doing good, or it's exhilarating because you're getting just crushed. Genji, I suppose, can be fun if you know how to play him. I'm sure it's frustrating as hell if you can't.
Yeah, that's
Hanzo,
why I
kind
don't
of the
like
same
playing.
deal.
That's why I don't like playing Genji because he's frustrating for me to play. Because every time I try, it's like, hey, guess what? You get destroyed.
Yeah, like and with Genji, like you got to have all of your abilities and aim work perfectly to guarantee a kill. I feel like with Genji, I always like I'll get somebody down to like the smallest fraction of health, because one of my ninja stars wasn't a headshot, it was a body shot. And then I'll die, and it's just really frustrating, because then they get away and they get healed. Or if you're attacking somebody with Genji, and they have healer support, most of the time you can't kill them. It's kind of like it's like two Moiras taking on each other when one of them has a healing orb.
Yeah.
Anyway, I should probably
on
call it
the-
a night. It's getting pretty late.
Yeah. I was going to say, on the thing with Ana, I remember when they were trying to make her worse, like, trying to make her go into a better place. I'm like, why?
Yeah, Anna's kind of niche. I know she's getting a lot more love at the pro level now because she's in a really good spot for them, which I'm excited about because I love to see pro players play Anna.
Right.
So I don't mind where she's at. I think that the changes they did with her are actually really smart because the better ult makes her better for like novice players, like players around like all over the board. And I think that like
Yeah.
she's good at the pro level too. Like what they did with
She
her
just
made
has so
her,
high skill.
yeah. And so like they made her more reliable at the lower levels, and they made her a little bit better at the higher levels to make her more meta. So like I think she's at a fantastic spot right now.
Oh yeah,
It just yeah.
she's great right now. Well, I think that's enough for tonight.
Yeah, how long did we stream? Like hour? This is at least 2 hours.
We
so-
started at like it's 11 o'clock and we started at like 5:40, 6 o'clock.
Oh my god. Wow, I'm actually having broadcast problems.
Oh,
Like-
really?
Try lowering broadcast quality. That's weird. Maybe it's because I got a party and I'm having my audio in your stream too. Plus maybe there's people using the Wi-Fi at my house or something.
Home, so my Wi-Fi's been pretty solid.
Mm. Well, that was fun.
All right,
Even though there
Yeah.
was some that was going on.
shit
That was
games.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get Dark Souls Remastered going soon. Get that Dark Souls playthrough going.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye to the ground. That's not the
Yeah,
proper saying.
I check all the time, and I know that I sent you that link to Target, and they were selling it for like $20.
What, dude? Did you
well-
see that Geralt's gonna be in Soul Calibur 7 or 5 or 6?
Yeah, I think I saw that. I don't remember it very well, but I think I saw it.
Yeah, I'm looking to see how much it is in the store right now, and Soul Calibur's there.
Soul
He's on the
Calibur.
cover.
Oh, you're looking at Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm really eager to start it because I want to have like a stream that like a 2-person stream that I get a lot of I don't know. That's like an actual production. And then I
Yeah.
want to have like my sort of chill just by myself like Resident Evil streams and Devil May Cry streams, just stuff like that. When I'm not trying to like put on a show.
Right, and I'm going to try to go like full blown like great editing on these Dark Souls on this Dark Souls one.
Oh, you're willing to edit them?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing. Well, for my version, I'm going to see if I can edit the shit out of it and just make it look real cool.
Cool.
And we'll see about like syncing up upload days.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Maybe we can play some more tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be on. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be in the streaming mood or not. I probably will be, but like, just in case I wake up with a headache or something, you know?
Oh yeah, I know how that is.
Yeah, that's the main thing that stops me from streaming. If anything stops me, it's definitely that. But sometimes you'll just wake up
That's-
and you'll be in a funk, and you'll be like, ah, man, like I can't be funny right now, you know?
Yeah, I was kind of feeling that this morning. I woke up late, I slept in, and I was like, ugh. I kind of want to stream some more Rings of Elysium until Matt gets home from work, and I'm like, God damn, I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, I know the feeling. There's been times, and I mean, I've even seen it in my streams as I've been compiling these YouTube videos. Like, there'll be like segments of a game that I'm playing where I can tell that that portion of the stream I was tired. Because there's like parts of Resident Evil 6 playthrough, which is like 52 episodes, I might add. Something crazy
Jesus.
like that. That took fucking forever because there's like four campaigns you play through. Anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 6 was kind of shit.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it didn't deserve the hate it got, but then again, like, I'm not really a harsh critic for games that I'm just gonna play once and move on. Like, Resident Evil 6 had like some fucking retarded parts in it, but they were so dumb and overdone that it was kind of like I could at least laugh. It was like a B movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, when I first saw Resident Evil 6, it wasn't the Resident Evil game I was expecting.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think after having played Resident Evil 4 extensively, I love Resident Evil 4. It's a fucking amazing game. Resident Evil 5 was surprisingly good. And
I think 5 gets more hate than it deserves.
oh, definitely. Especially because I think it might be one of
Boulders
the
Redfield.
I think it might actually be one of the best co-op experience on the modern console generation. The remastered Resident Evil 5. Because I played it solo. And I was having a good time. There's a couple annoying parts, but I genuinely didn't really have any complaints. And it was one where you can go back and replay levels, which you can't do in Resident Evil 4, which is kind of obnoxious. But in Resident Evil 5, you can play levels you like over and over again. You can stock up on ammo. You can unlock unlimited ammo. It incentivizes going back to the game. And I was willing to do that because it's a good single-player experience, and I'm sure it's a phenomenal co-op experience. But I played the hell out of that game. I'm probably not going to go back to it for a while, but I know if I do, I'll enjoy it. But with Resident Evil 6, like, after grinding through 4 campaigns, and since they all intersect, there's going to be parts where you're fighting the same boss again.
Several times.
Yeah, sometimes it's identical. Sometimes it's like a fight where 4 characters are in the same location, and you're doing literally the same boss fight, like with no new mechanics. And then there's some parts where like you'll fight a boss with one set of characters, and then there's like another phase of that boss that you fight with a different character. So it's kind of like a lot of the game is somewhat recycled, and you can like level up these skills and equip them, and it's like this very simple loadout kind of system with skills. But it's like, who cares? Like, I'm not going to go through and spam these levels to try to get all these experience points for the sole purpose of upgrading a skill that, like, makes my crosshair a little bit more stable. Like, that's boring. In Resident Evil 5, you could unlock infinite ammo for a shotgun with 4 barrels. Like, that shit's dope. Yeah, like, there's not as many gun upgrades as there are skill upgrades in Resident Evil 5, or in 6. But like, what's going to be more fun at the end of the day? At the end of the day, you can get a minigun in Resident Evil 5.
I think running around with that quadruple-barreled shotgun.
Exactly. So like, Resident Evil 5 still had a handle on what was fun. It wasn't Resident Evil 4. Nothing will ever touch Resident Evil 4. I mean, The Evil Within was made by the same guy, and that wasn't even anything like Resident Evil 4. So I think that the unfair expectations on Resident Evil 5 caused it to get the scrutiny that it did. Plus the also like kind of poor timing with the whole race thing and how it depicted Africa. That I could kind of see that.
Yeah. My thing is, there's zombies.
Resident Evil 6 was just like after Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, which I think is kind of Resident Evil 5 is a spectacle in its own right. You get to Resident Evil 6 and it just feels bland. Um,
Yeah.
and like I'm playing Resident Evil Revelations now, and it feels kind of bland too. But I don't have expectations of Resident Evil Revelations. I think it was like a DS game originally. I'm not trying to get my socks knocked off by this game. I know that's not going to happen, so I'm just going to go into it with a positive mindset and have as much fun as I can. But with Resident Evil 6, I was like, dang, this is after Resident Evil 4, because I played 5 after 6, because I'm a dumbass. But, like, I played Resident Evil 4, was like, Resident Evil 6 is alright, I guess. Have some enjoyment out of it. And then I played Resident Evil 5, and I was like, well, shit, like, they clearly got some of the fun of 4 into 5, so, like, why couldn't they put any of that fun into 6? And,
Right, and I think, what was it? 5? 5 was just kind of goofy, and I kind of liked that about 5.
oh, yeah, it was majorly goofy.
That's where the Chris, I Punch Boulders Redfield meme came from.
Yeah, and like when you see that happen in the game, it's real and it's funny, but it's kind of like validated because you're like, also, sort of spoiler, but like the final fight of that game takes place in like a volcano where you punch that boulder. Like,
Yeah.
just that statement in a Resident Evil game, a survival horror, even though technically it's an action horror series, whatever, but you're in a volcano punching a boulder into a pool of lava. This is a thing that is happening in a video game about zombies. Like, that's kind of like just on its own reason enough to play that game. And even if, have you played Resident Evil 4?
I don't believe. I know I haven't played it, but I don't think I've even watched anything of it. I know I've watched 5.
4 is more, I guess it's more down to earth than 5. But 4 is still goofy. Like, it has it's a fucking guy, like a dwarf guy in a weird purple suit.
Oh,
like,
wait, yeah, I haven't played it, but I know a little bit about it.
it's like, it's got some weird shit in it. Like, people sometimes forget that. And I think sometimes even Capcom forgets that. Like, the thing that made Resident Evil 4 good, and the thing that made Resident Evil 5 good, was not the edginess and the seriousness of the plot. It was the interaction of dramatic bio-zombie talk with the silliest fucking things, like jumping out of a window and landing like a ninja and then like kicking a zombie in the face. Like, that shit's just fun. Like, and that's why those games are good. Like, they're just ridiculous. And that's actually why like Resident Evil 7 has zero appeal to me. I've seen so much about it. I've seen all the praise it gets. I get that it's actually scary. I don't play Resident Evil games to be scared. I play Resident Evil games so I can kick a bunch of Spanish zombie infected people until their heads blow off. Like, that's dope. That is objectively dope. Why would I want to run around in a spooky house for 7 hours? Like, that's so. If in my opinion, Resident Evil can and should be a game that's trying to be serious but has goofiness to it. They succeeded in making it serious in Resident Evil 7, and all the critics went crazy. But like, as somebody that's played a fair amount of those games, I don't want that. I want it to be silly. I want it to be funny. I want to punch zombies in the face, even though it's a really stupid idea. And like,
Yeah.
I even like the Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil movies are objectively bad. They're shitty.
Terrible. I have like every one of them.
They're stupid as fuck. But goddamn, do I love those movies. Because they're like a B movie about a video game that I'm familiar with that has a budget behind it. And they're just surreal sometimes. The first one like was actually like, I guess, decent. It had some interesting parts that like I haven't seen in other things, like the laser room, which is influenced by Resident Evil 4. And like the sequel was like a weird mishmash of like Resident Evil Nemesis like the video game, but like they threw in a bunch of other characters and had it in a slightly different plot, which is weird. And then the third one is just like completely not about any of the video games. It's just in the desert. And then the next one is sort of a continuation of that plot. And then the one after that was it was like its own video game. Like it made up this weird scenario where like Leon S. Kennedy, Barry Burton, Chris Redfield, all these characters that have never met each other are all meeting each other in like a bunch of simulations and shit, and there's like clones and everything. It's just fucking weird, dude. And I love it. That's what makes those movies so good to me. It's because they're entertaining. And that's what a zombie game should be. Like Resident Evil 7, I've seen so much of it. I know how I would react to it. I don't think I'd find it entertaining. And like
For me, it's too gory.
oh really?
Like, well, see, I'm not a fan of games that are trying to be like shock horror just to be shock horror.
Mm-hmm.
And
I definitely
think
get that from Resident Evil 7. I know where you're coming from with that.
it's like it's trying too hard to be scary shock horror.
Yeah.
I get the appeal of it, but to me it's just like, meh, the dude's hands off. I can go play Doom and I can go crush a demon's skull with my bare hands.
Yeah, because the way I see it is, if you're gonna use violence, use it somewhere that's creative or artistic almost. Because in Doom, the fatality thingies, the glory
finishers,
kills, yeah, those were like 110% made by somebody that understands the tone of Doom. Even the original Doom games are kind of cheesy, but in like an awesome way. So they
Right,
really nailed it with Doom.
it's supposed to be entertaining, not like, oh my god, he got his hand cut off, or oh my god, I crushed that demon's skull with my foot.
Yeah, like in Doom it's fun. In Resident Evil, it's like it's trying to elicit a response other than fun. Like it's trying to be like, oh, look at this wanton damage. This is so sad and scary and stuff. And I'm like, I'm playing a fucking video game in my underwear. Like I'm not trying to like have this deep horror experience or anything. I'm trying to have some fun. And like I think violence that's like kind of funny in video games, like the death scenes from Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 4, they're fucking hilarious. Like they're so weird and overdone and dramatic. Even Dead Space. Dead Space,
Yeah, I
I
was
feel
just
like
about to
gets
say-
closer to the line. But
Yeah, Dead Space is one of those games that does horror right, but at the same time, it straddles that line of being between Doom and Resident Evil 7.
yeah. And I think that it thankfully doesn't cross that line into Resident Evil 7 territory. There's some death scenes in Dead Space 2 where I was like, ugh, like this is kind of almost hard to laugh at. And that kind of like ruins the fun of the game. And I think a perfect example of what you're talking about is the Tomb Raider games, the recent ones that they've been making. The death
I
scenes they
haven't-
make are so brutal. Usually it's for ones for like failing running or like jumping sections. And they're really brutal. They're not even more brutal than Dead Space or Resident Evil 4 or 5. But Dead Space, Resident Evil 4 and 5, they at least have some kind of like tongue-in-cheek or like some kind of, I don't know, wit to them. So when you see like a overdone death scene in one of those games, it's like, haha, wow, that was something. When you see something like that in Tomb Raider, which is trying to be serious the whole time, it's just fucking depressing. Like there's a part where you can like fall in the water and then like you get like impaled on these spikes and you get to see Lara Croft like photorealistically like spasming as her like spine is severed. Like I don't want to see that shit. That's not fun. There's no like giggles
Jesus
to be had
Christ.
about that. It's just like really like it's like Mortal Kombat is much more violent, but Mortal Kombat gets that it's silly. Mortal Kombat isn't trying to
Right.
make a serious character or anything. It's a bunch of people punching each other and throwing fireballs. Like, they get it. Mortal Kombat, I would
And
consider kind of a dumb game, but they get it. They understand what that game is.
that's pretty much even why Johnny Cage is a thing
Yeah, yeah,
in
exactly.
He's just supposed to be that character that's slapstick material. He's
And like,
purely human. You know he's going to die.
yeah,
And the fact that he sits there and he like punches Scorpion in the balls as he's dying. It's funny.
yeah, they get it. They understand that like when you make a game, there's games that are serious, that are awesome. A game that does violent death scenes good, that is a serious game. That can still have relatively violent death scenes is The Last of Us. There's nothing undignified about The Last of Us. The death scenes can sometimes be brutal and sometimes they're hard to watch, but it's for a purpose at least. There is no purpose in making Lara Croft's death scenes so goddamn violent in those Tomb Raider games. It didn't add anything to the plot. It didn't add anything to the character. It didn't bring me into the story more. It was really off-putting. Like, why did they elect to do that? Like, do they hate Lara Croft or something? Like, what's the deal? Like, it was weird.
The thing is, I think they want you to like her to the point where it's like, oh my god, I'm horrified I got her killed. But these new Tomb Raider games are just Lara is so bland.
Yeah, like I like that they
She's
made
literally
her.
like a cardboard box.
I like that they made her more than just like a pair of tits and two matching pistols, because like that was kind of like that was getting old. Like it'd been overplayed. I was excited at first when they were gonna reimagine this character, but they just kind of followed the trope of, oh, how do we make a character a survivor? How do we make a character cool? Oh, just have them be dirty and get hurt. Like, that doesn't make you a more interesting character. Like, in The Last of Us, the main characters don't even really get hurt that often. They do occasionally, and when it does, it usually has consequences.
Like that time Joel gets stabbed with, I think it was either rebar or glass. And
Yeah.
you have to play as Ellie for like most of the remainder of the game.
Yeah, and you gotta like,
That-
yeah. That was awesome.
So
That was
Joel was, yeah, that was great. Joel was hurt, and you saw the consequences of him getting hurt.
Yeah, it didn't just gloss over. Like in Tomb Raider, she gets that rebar in her side, and you're fine. Like 30 minutes into the game after that. Like,
It's like, it had no effect on her.
yeah, like Joel got like stabbed, and he was out of commission for months. She got impaled through her entire body with
And she was
rusty
fine
rebar.
10 minutes later.
Yeah, and then she gets like thrown down a mountain, like definitely fracturing ribs and stuff, like pulled through water, almost drowning, like let alone the fact that all that stuff would probably kill her if she was a human being. It's just like that's not a substitute for writing a good character. Everything
Right.
she says in that game is gasp, gasp. Oh, I need to do XYZ. And then she
I
goes
must
and
go
does it.
save this village.
Yeah,
I must
like,
go kill this bad guy.
it's and she always
I
just
must
says
get
it to
character
herself.
development.
Like, and I get it. Like that makes you can make a character more respected if you actually put them in a sort of edgy situation like that. But beating the shit out of somebody does not make them a more interesting person.
No.
And
I think that's
Yeah.
one reason why I have so much respect for Joel as a character. He's a dad who lost everything within hours.
yeah,
He lost his daughter, he lost his home, he lost everything within hours, and now he's tasked to protect another girl that would be about the same age as his daughter was.
yeah, it's like
And
it's really salting the wound he had.
yeah, and you see him go from this loving father to this cynical bastard, and then back to that, oh, the world isn't so bad, I have something here to protect.
And then doing whatever it takes to protect it. Yeah, like
Exactly.
the prologue of The Last of Us has more character development, more meaningful character development than all three of these Tomb Raider games that they've made. The Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Like, she's the same character in all three of those. And it's a shame, because I thought they could have maybe made her into something cool. I kind of liked the dark style they were going for. But when they made a character without any kind of personality and then viciously murdered them like that in some of the cutscenes, like, I don't get it. I don't understand the tone they're going for. And like,
That's why I'm not gonna lie when I say that I found Lara Croft more interesting as two watermelons tacked to a street post.
because yeah, at least somebody was having fun with that.
Exactly.
Playing the recent Lara Croft game or Tomb Raider games, it's just not fun. Like, and it's worse because they have direct competitors that are blowing them out of the water in every way. They're going up against Uncharted. Uncharted does essentially the exact same thing as Tomb Raider, except it did it earlier. It did it with amazing writing, and it had less like bullshitty like crafting elements and stuff to it. Like, it actually, like, the Uncharted games feel like movies because they have style, they have charm, the characters are interesting, like shit happens and people get like hurt, but it's not like they're like masochistically destroying Nathan Drake at every turn. Like,
Right.
it has a balance. And those games, they get that Uncharted can be funny. They get that Nathan Drake and his little banter with his friends can be funny. Yet they also have action scenes, and it works. And the death scenes in that game are not violent. They're just, you kind of just ragdoll on most of them. And that was never a problem. So I feel bad for developers that try to like use violence to try to build character when that isn't the case at all. That's not how you build character. And I feel
Right.
bad for developers that don't realize that those overly violent deaths should be reserved for games that actually have like an established tone, which is not entirely serious.
A reason to be that gruesomely violent.
Yeah, like, and I'll admit Dead Space sometimes pushes the envelope with that, but I think Dead Space and Dead Space 2 especially are fucking amazing games. Not really Dead Space 3,
Yeah.
but Dead Space 1 and 2 are, honestly, they are masterpieces in their own right. The fact that the first one came out in 2008, that is absurd. It looks fucking gorgeous.
Yeah,
So,
it was meant to be like a shock horror game.
yeah,
But
and
it
it's
just
like it
stuck.
succeeded.
And I told you my favorite death scene in Dead Space 2, where
Yeah.
the worm thing pops your head off and it runs off with your body. That's funny.
Yeah. It's
That's
like,
horribly funny.
it's sadistic and it's horrifying, but it works, you know? Like, it fits within the sort of tone of the game. And it sort of makes you want to take your revenge when it happens, you know? Like, when you load back into the game, you're like, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. And it, like, emboldens you. And not every death scene in Dead Space is really overly gruesome like that. A lot of the time, you'll just get, like, cut in half and, like, a default ragdoll kind of animation.
Yeah, or
And
you'll
that's
just
fine.
fall over.
Yeah, like, it's not like the game was made for its death scenes. Its death scenes are just like the cherry on the cake. The rest of those games are awesome. Even if the death scenes were cut out, those games would still be great. They wouldn't be as great, but they would still be great in their own right. They don't rely on that to be the main focus of the game. It's just a wonderful little detail they decided to add, even though I'm sure it took a ton of work. And like, I'm after playing those games, I'm just so depressed I didn't play them earlier, because they're legit scary. They get you to jump. The story, I guess, across the three games could use a little work. I think the jump in character development from Isaac between 1 and 2 is phenomenal. In the first game, he was just a blank slate, really. In the second game, he actually has some quotes. He has some lines. I wouldn't say his arc is super like detailed or anything, but there's actually parts where he'll say something like kind of snarky, and I like that. Like, there's two instances I think I can remember where he says something sort of like joking or snarky or whatever, and it made him seem so much more human, and it made his character so much better. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just a little bit of humor in an otherwise really dire situation. And Tomb Raider had that. It just never had that. There is never a single time where Lara Croft was like, wow, I just shot an arrow through two guys' heads. That's pretty silly, huh, guys? Like, if the game had at least a little bit of self-awareness like that, like, I might have liked it more. But it didn't.
I grew up with the original Tomb Raider games, and I just can't play these new ones because it's like, what are they going for? Are they trying to make her this strong female protagonist? If they were, they failed.
Yeah, like
When I think
being strong does not mean being able to take a beating. Being strong is able to have like an emotional development throughout the course of a game, and she just doesn't do that.
right, like when I think strong female protagonist, I think Aloy
Yes.
from Horizon Zero Dawn. She has emotion. She feels like a character that I could sit down and have a conversation with.
Yeah.
when-
Exactly.
I
Aloy's a
remember
great
having-
character.
I love the characters from Horizon Zero Dawn. I remember having a legit emotional reaction when Ross died. I think
Yeah.
I remember screaming, "No!"
Yeah.
I had
like
a
that.
feeling he was going to die, but I literally screamed, "No, Ross, no!"
Yeah, like, and I gotta admit, like, Horizon Zero Dawn, I like ranted about it, about how good it was on Twitter. That's a phenomenal game. Like, just the characters are really well written. Like, even like Rosh specifically, like, he wasn't even in the game for very long, but the time he was in the game, he was awesome. And then when you find out
He
what
was
he
mostly
did,
tutorial NPCs.
yeah, and once you find
He
out
was
what he
legit
did for
tutorial NPC.
Aloy, that makes him even better. And like you learn all the stuff about what he did for Aloy, but you can't even thank him because he's already gone. And that's kind of like something that sticks with you for the rest of the game. And that's character development. And that's awesome. But and yeah, there's awesome female leads out there. Like there's basically every female protagonist from Witcher 3. Like Ciri
Oh
is
yeah,
awesome.
Siri is great.
Triss.
I love Siri.
Yeah.
Triss is awesome. Yennefer's a bit of a bitch, but I love her.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Yennefer, when you do the romance missions for her, you actually learn a little bit. Like, she does have like a sort of like more joking side. Like, there's this one part where there's this like horse, like this big wooden horse that like it's assumed that at some point they like banged on top of this horse statue, and it's funny and it's kind of like it breaks the serious tone and like reminds you that they actually have like an adult relationship with its ups and downs, its serious parts, and its laughter to it. Like, and Geralt's an awesome character too in his own right. I don't even need to tell you that, but
Oh,
every
no.
single
He's
yeah, and all the three like leading ladies from that game all do their own thing, and they all have different personalities. Like Triss and Yennefer are not the same person. Yennefer and Ciri are not the same person. They all have their own personalities, and I could not
all
for the
unique.
life, yeah, I could not for the life of you tell. I could not tell you what Lara Croft's current personality is, and
other
that's
than
a shame.
some pissed off developer's masochistic dream.
Yeah, Lara Croft's current
sadistic dream.
personality is just stinky. That's her current personality, is just covered with mud and shit. That's basically it. And I don't.
Which is
Yeah.
sad because she was such a great character back in like the 90s.
I mean, like even like Resident Evil's characters have like really hilariously bad dialogue. But you at least learn to love them over the course of the games because they'll just keep popping up. Like Chris is a normal dude in Resident Evil 1. By Resident Evil 5, his forearms are wider than somebody's head, and he's punching boulders into a volcano. Like, that is character development. it's not Hollywood character development. It's not trying to win any Oscars, but that is a character that has become beloved in your mind because he says all these funny things. There's a part in Resident Evil 4 where Leon says, "No thanks, bro," to the evil guy. Like it doesn't even sound real. It's just so cool. And like so you don't need to make a character serious to have character. Like Nathan Drake has serious parts. He also has funny parts. The characters from Resident Evil are just like their dialogue is awful. It's so dumb, but they're still endearing. And there's just nothing endearing about Lara Croft.
And Leon, through most of 4, is just this snarky, sarcastic asshole, and it's great.
Yeah. Like there's one part where like you say something snarky and then and you like throw a knife into a bad guy's hand and then like you like smirk or something like because you just roasted him and he has this part where he's like ha, 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 like reacting to it like it's clearly painful for him and it's hilarious. And then immediately after, literally immediately after, one of his lieutenants throws the knife back at you, and if you fuck up the quick time event, it like stabs you in the throat, and you go like, "Rah," and then fall over, and it's just this fucking weirdest little just scenario that has just played out for you, and it's awesome, and it's so good, and I miss that, like characters take themselves too serious sometimes. And like,
Right.
it's a real shame because human beings have charisma. Human beings have a sense of humor. It's just how people are.
Unless you look like you're a bored stepmom at the grocery store 24/7.
Yeah. And like the original Lara Croft games, they had some actual like I guess charm to them. Like you can get eaten by a T-Rex in at least one of them, which is hilarious. And there's also you can like swan dive off of a building into the pavement and just ragdoll when you hit the ground. Like that is objectively really funny. And since those games never try to laden you down with like this really deep, complex character narrative or anything, they just let you play the game. It's a bit of fun platforming. Like the character looks pretty funny, and it's fun, and that's all it takes. Like, Devil May Cry. Oh my god, dude. Devil May Cry. Look at this guy's running around bare-chested with a red jacket on, like a red trench coat and a giant sword and 2 guns that he holds sideways. Like, they were clearly not trying to do a complicated character with that, but people fucking love Dante. They think he's a great character because he is. He can be badass, he can be serious, and most of the time he can be a snarky, sarcastic guy. And that's what makes them good. There's so many examples. Sorry, go ahead.
I kind of like Virgil a little bit more than Dante, but that's just me.
Virgil also has like his own kind of like sarcasticness. Like I think it might even be better when Virgil's sarcastic and snarky because he's more straight-laced than Dante. Like, Dante's always going to be, like, wacky and stuff. Dante's like Crash Bandicoot. And Virgil's like some other thing. But...
Can we talk about Crash Bandicoot? That is another game that everyone loves, and Crash is a silent protagonist for the most part. All he does is fart and burp.
Yeah, he just, like, mugs for the camera and does that little dance when you get the gems, like... And he's still a better character than Lara Croft these days. Like, there's so many examples of making a character fun, making a game fun, having a good tone in your game. And we've listed games that are horror games. We've listed games that are action games. We've listed games that are devil, demon, shoot 'em up kind of games. All of these different kind of games, they all know what they're doing. And they're not trying to, like, be each other or anything. And then Lara Croft is trying to be, like, Uncharted, but without the charm. Which is what made Uncharted Uncharted. And I feel like it takes active effort to write a game that doesn't have any charm to it. Like, if you just be a human being, you will put charm into everything you create. If you're creating it with honesty. I bet it's just like when big companies get an IP and they need to do it right, then that's when stuff like this happens, where they just won't take any risks. They won't do anything tongue in cheek. They'll be very, very serious, and it just doesn't seem like a person wrote it because it's a bureaucratic think tank that wrote it. Like,
It's a corporate entity.
exactly, it's just corporate. And I mean, like, the recent Spider-Man game. Oh, go ahead.
It's like getting the MC40 from Walmart to sit there and write a story.
Yeah. And, like,
And it'll say, I thought I knew how to love. I did not know how to love. I only know how to scan barcodes.
and that's like, and like Star Wars Battlefront, the recent ones, they have like no charm to them because you can just feel EA radiating off of them like fucking tumors. But like if you go back and play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PS2 or somewhere it's ported, it has charm to it. It's funny. It has.
It's on
you can
PC.
yeah, like you can get eaten by Jabba's what's the thing called? The thing he has in his
The
basement.
Rancor?
Yeah, you can get eaten by the
Rancor.
Rancor. You could be Darth Maul and go get eaten by the Rancor. That is the funniest shit ever. Like, what? And then they somehow ruined all of the charm and all of the character from those games with these recent ones. But that isn't to say all corporate games need to lack charm and character. Like, the most recent Spider-Man game has a ton of character to it. It has all these funny little interactions Spider-Man has with people. Like, which is good because Spider-Man is obviously one of the most human superheroes out there. Like, he's one of the most, I guess, like, average Joe kind of guys. 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, look at Superman. Nobody talks like Superman talks. Like, Tony Stark talks like a kind of a normal person. Captain America, not really as much. He's way too, like, vanilla.
He's way too military.
Yeah. And, like, but Spider-Man, like, he's just an average dude. He's a teenager. And, like, they were able to make this really big budget game for him recently, which was successful because they did not overlook the fact that he's an average dude, and not every single one of these missions in this game needs to be something super, like, heavy and dangerous, and, like, everybody's lives are on the line. Some of these are going to be, like, fucking delivering pizzas. Like, that's the thing. That's what makes it charming.
He's not fucking Batman.
Exactly.
See, when you give Batman a dark and gritty game, it's the fucking Batman. Of course I expect his games to be dark and gritty. You give me a Spider-Man game, and it's set in fucking Arkham Asylum, I'm like, what in the fuck is this? Where's my Peter Parker one-liners?
Yeah, and also that's the thing about Batman is imagine a Batman game where there were no villains. It would be super overly melodramatic and it would be boring. The thing that makes Batman, what stops it from being too like edgelord or whatever, is the fact that he has all these colorful villains that he's dealing with. And yeah, they can be intimidating, but at the end of the day, they are colorful and interesting. The Joker, with all that dark humor, that totally, like, yeah.
I love Joker. He's one of the best villains ever.
Absolutely. Because
He's just so full of personality. He's not like generic, oh, I want to take over the world. It's like, why do you want to take over the world? I don't know. Joker, why do you want to take over the world? 'Cause I'm fucking insane.
Yeah, and
Good
like,
point.
because that's the thing, like, they had so much self-awareness when they first started doing the gritty Batman movies. Like, I think around Michael Keaton is the one where they really started to actually go gritty with those movies. But they realized that if they make Batman as dark as he's supposed to be, as noir as he's supposed to be, then people are going to laugh themselves out of the theater because it's a guy running around in a rubber suit, like, with bat ears on it. Like, that's hilarious. That's weird. But they were able to make it dark because they have this contrast by having this wild, crazy guy, this wild, crazy, funny guy. It's, like, extremely self-aware.
I miss
and-
Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah, and Heath Ledger's Joker, because the Dark Knight, like, that movie, is
Was made by Heath
extremely
Ledger.
dark. Yeah, and it was, like, it had so much on it, and if you watch that movie and it didn't have a character like the Joker in it, it would have been so dramatic and so dark and trying to be cool. But Heath Ledger doing what he did with that movie, and there is no word to describe what he did with that movie because it has never been done previously, and I doubt it will ever be done again because that was so much more than a performance what he did for that movie. But
Yeah, he has I so you know that Heath Ledger or his estate released that documentary about him,
oh yeah,
and apparently he was like a super method actor.
oh yeah, I've heard that about
And
him.
he locked himself in a room for like 3 months or something while preparing for that role as the Joker.
Jeez.
And and that's part. I think that's part of the reason what killed him was he just actually went insane from preparing for that role as the Joker.
Yeah, I'm sure it takes a toll on your like mind and body doing that kind of thing. But that was like his performance there. It's in my opinion, it's the greatest performance ever put to film. I don't think anything has topped it. Even though there's like all these classic movies and stuff, and there's a lot of movies that are probably better written than The Dark Knight or more critically respected than The Dark Knight because The Dark Knight is a superhero movie. But Heath
Exactly.
Ledger's performance in that was spot on, and it was captivating from every single frame he was in that movie. And his influence as that character makes every remaining frame of the movie interesting because you're always wondering what he's going to do next. And
And
that's
he's
why, like,
memorable.
yeah, like, and I'd almost feel bad for Jared Leto being the Joker because how the fuck do you follow Heath Ledger? How on earth do you
Don't.
follow Heath Ledger? Like, it's impossible. Um, Having said that, I'm kind of optimistic because for Suicide Squad 2, they're bringing in Ryan
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
So it might actually have charm. The first one had no charm. The second one, if they're gonna get anything good out of Jared Leto as the Joker, it's gonna be under his direction.
Yeah, he's writing and directing it.
Oh, really? He's doing both? That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
I'd
he
like
did for Guardians of the Galaxy.
if if he's given everything he needs for that movie, I have no doubt in my mind it will be good. The only thing that I think could
Oh
hold
yeah.
him back is just the track record of DC. Because DC's like shot themselves in the foot in the same fucking bullet hole every single movie they've released for the past like 6 years.
Minus
Which
Wonder
is
Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman I've heard was pretty good.
I think I haven't had the chance to like watch it myself, but I really heard it was good, and I've seen clips of it, and it looks good. Gal Gadot is just she oozes charisma. Going back to that, just being human makes you charismatic.
Yeah.
Not only is she a very, very beautiful woman, but she's a very strong, confident woman, and you can see it just radiate off of her. She radiates confidence in everything she does. And I think
that's
that's an absolute beautiful trait that she has.
Yeah, it's an incredibly important thing for, because when she's playing Wonder Woman, it's almost like she's not playing a character. Because faking charisma, faking that kind of confidence is extremely difficult, and more often than not, it's unconvincing. So if you can get an actor that actually has that kind of personality, then it's ripe to be used in a movie. And that's why like actors like Ryan Reynolds was perfect for Deadpool. They could not have chosen a better
I love
actor.
Ryan Reynolds.
If they chose any other actor for Deadpool, it would have been super cringy. But Deadpool 2, probably more so than Deadpool 1, is fucking great. And it's carried from his performance and the amount of freedom they had with it. And I mean, it's kind of probably overused, but Robert Downey Jr. and basically anything he's been in has brought like a lot of
Recently.
character to it. Yeah, like Iron
Yeah.
Man. Like they started the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man.
He
Of all-
he
of-
is Iron Man.
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. I
And
cannot
his
see Iron Man as anyone else but Robert Downey Jr.
yeah, isn't it like I feel like Stan Lee actually said something like that also. Like he was like absolutely like and that's the thing, like Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in Iron Man 1 and his charisma in that movie was enough to spark the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. It took a huge gamble with that
Right.
movie, and it was so astonishingly successful because of his charisma. And
Like
like, whew,
I still remember the ending of Iron Man 1 when he's just sitting there in front of the podium and he just says, "I am Iron Man," and it just fades to black. It
yeah,
is one of the like mic drop moments in movies.
yeah, because the
Don't get much better than that.
because Pepper's like, all right, now you don't tell them. This is what we're gonna say. This is what we're gonna say. Like everybody's like telling him what to do and everything. He's like, I am Iron Man, and it's like, ah, it's just. And then he does it. You're like, well, that's Tony Stark. That was like the most Tony Stark thing he could have done in that moment, like playing that
Exactly.
character till the credits rolled, nailing it. And there's a lot of actors that have that kind of charisma, and Gal Gadot is definitely one of them. And I think Will Smith, when he's used properly, because I don't think he was used properly in Suicide Squad 1. I think Will Smith has that kind of charisma.
Will Smith is a really weird actor in my book. He's one of
Yeah.
those actors that's like his movies will range from being super good to absolute trash.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no in between.
Yeah, it's like Hitch. Like what the like I love iRobot. He's an iRobot. That's a great one. I really dig that one.
Yeah, I love
Even though
iRobot.
yeah.
Even though it's not critically loved, I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, like it's not critically beloved or anything, but I think it's a damn solid movie. Like if iRobot is on, I'll watch it. It's not like
Exactly.
I'm not gonna swoon over it like I would over The Dark Knight or something like that. But
It's dumb fun.
yeah, exactly. It's a good like popcorn movie. But yeah, he's been in some all over the place kind of productions. But
What
I do
was
think
that
that
movie
he
that
has
he did with
charisma.
what was that movie that he did with Jaden recently where it was I think it
Oh,
was like
After Earth.
Escape from Planet Yeah, After Earth. That movie was just trash.
I didn't even watch it. It just looked stupid.
I couldn't watch it. I was just like this movie's so garbage.
And then like it's weird because at the same time like he was in like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air,
Bel
which
Air.
is like one of the most beloved TV shows ever made, and his character in that is just fucking exploding out of the screen. Like it's overacting because it's a sitcom and everything. That's how it's supposed to be. But
Yeah.
god damn, is
My
he
grandpa
charismatic.
loves Fresh Prince.
It's
My
a
grandpa's
classic.
he's a big old white guy. He loves Fresh Prince.
I mean, I I don't understand how somebody couldn't, because it's just fun, and it also has some like really like sweet moments in it also, like because it's a sitcom, it can kind of go all over the spectrum of emotions like that, but
Yeah.
they just don't
The-
make them like they used to.
The one episode that I remember from Fresh Prince, like vividly,
Mhm.
is the one where he's accidentally mistaken for a actor in a show, and he goes on the TV shows and he just botches every one of his lines, and the director's like, "I love this kid. Roll with it." And I'm like, "You serious?" Only in a Will Smith thing would he get away with this. And have you ever watched Pursuit of Happiness?
Yes.
That movie is a masterpiece from beginning to end.
Yeah, like fucking like that movie it gives you chills, and I feel like it's still sadly overlooked.
Yeah, I didn't even know it existed until a few years ago.
Yeah, like it's not even it's not like a flashy movie, but the performances in it are just like they hit you right in the heart, like, and like
Right,
Will
because it's a
Smith
real
is able,
situation.
yeah, like Will Smith is able to be a serious actor and be a comedic actor in equal levels of expertise, and that's like amazing. Speaking of another
It's just,
actor that can kind of do both, that I think has that kind of charisma, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, especially in Logan.
oh yeah,
Have
I
you seen
didn't
Logan?
watch Logan, but no,
Uh,
I haven't had the chance to, but it looked super good.
it like a lot of the X-Men movies that feature Wolverine have been failures, not because of Hugh Jackman, just because they were like kind of dumb movies and tone was kind of weird. Logan is entirely
Yeah,
different tonally from those other movies, and holy shit, do they knock it out of the park. And Hugh Jackman acts his goddamn ass off in that movie. He's doing all the screaming and yelling. Like, you've seen him do that stuff as Wolverine before. He can do the yell where his
yeah,
forehead veins pop out. But when you see him do it at the age he is in this movie, and with this retaining this amount of just like rage and muscle and power in a dramatic setting, and being able to act in a dramatic role while also doing action scenes in a modern movie, it's just it's astonishing that he can do this kind of stuff. And like, if you don't respect Hugh Jackman before seeing that movie, you will definitely respect him afterwards.
he's a Hugh Jackman for me is one of those weird actors that I don't think I could ever see him as anything else but Wolverine.
Yeah, I
Like
know what you mean.
if I watched him in another movie that wasn't a Wolverine movie, I would be like, is this guy? Why is he doing this movie?
It's funny,
And I
like,
kind of feel
sorry, go
I kind
ahead.
of feel the same way with Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah, Liam Neeson is always going to be the Taken guy.
And I hate the Taken movies. I don't hate Liam Neeson. I just hate the Taken movies.
Yeah, I know, I agree with everything you just said.
I they just tried to milk that Taken shit to the last drop,
Yeah, and
and
like,
it got old.
I like movies where Liam Neeson is cool and smart. I just Taken I don't think was a good avenue for it. I wish that if they gave like Liam Neeson like a John Wick movie, that would be a million times better.
Oh yeah, I would kill to see Liam Neeson as John Wick.
Yeah, that would be he would nail it. Absolutely. Like, I think a movie like that could even like give Die Hard a run for its money. Cuz the first like 3, maybe the fourth, maybe Die Hard movies are good. Die Hard 1 and 3 specifically, I love. But the fourth one, and the fifth one is trash. So, maybe, is there 6 now? No, I think there's only
I don't know
5.
anymore.
But those
I'm
went
releasing this
downhill.
entire conversation as a podcast, by the way.
Oh, are you still streaming?
Yes,
Oh shit. Oh, okay.
it is now a podcast. I hope your
Oh,
audio is included in my stream.
uh, it is. All
Okay,
right.
cool. Now it's a podcast.
Whoops. I probably should have been a little bit more podcasty with what I was saying. Oh well.
No, it's fine.
But that's
You're being
cool. Yeah.
real.
We should continue this train of thought when it's not midnight.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I
true.
mean?
I
Yeah.
forgot it's that late.
Yeah. I mean, we literally just talked for like about 2 hours. We closed
An
Overwatch
hour
like
and a
about
half
2.
about.
Yeah, that's crazy. Time flies.
Yeah, we talked about how Lara Croft is literally just still tits on a pole, and Liam Neeson's a great actor, and I was about to say Hugh Hefner. I was like,
Nah, Hugh Hefner's gonna be remembered for other things. Hugh Jackman.
yeah, Hugh Jackman, and yeah, every one of these guys.
Yeah, we went off on quite a tangent, I gotta say.
I'm not gonna lie. I seeing Margot Robbie as the chick from Wolf of Wall Street. I can't unsee her doing that.
You know, it's weird that you mention that. I feel like I see her more as Harley Quinn now than I saw her as that character. Because I feel like there wasn't a whole lot to her in Wolf of Wall Street. And I feel like there's a lot more to her when she was playing Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, even though that movie sucks.
See, I
So
thought
I
she
still
was a
see
little
her as
bit too
Harley Quinn.
over-sexualized
Oh,
as Harley
definitely.
Quinn.
Absolutely.
Like-
I thought that was
Like
weird.
that scene in the beginning where they're just watching her get dressed. I was like, did that need to be included?
Yeah,
Like, does that add anything to the movie other than, hey, check out this super hot Lolita actor that we got? I was like, what?
it was kind of off-putting almost. Like, I think everybody's in a general consensus that Margot Robbie is an attractive lady. I don't think you need
Yes,
to
she's
sway anybody towards that
beautiful.
perspective. But it was weird. Like, I didn't want to be seeing somebody getting dressed like that, because then you're making me feel like a creep watching somebody get dressed like that. Like, as the viewer, I'm forced to feel like a creep. I don't want that. Like, and it was off-putting. I didn't like that. But-
I get what they were going for. They were trying to go for, like, hey, all these guys in this military base are watching this really hot lady get dressed. It's just like, okay, and
Like, yeah.
that needed to be included. Why? I know Harley Quinn has been kind of a sexualized character since her inception,
Yeah.
but seriously, was there a point?
I think that, like, the silver lining to that movie, I guess, with regards to Margot Robbie, is that she did a good job. She did probably exactly what they wanted her to do. And the movie suffering from the script and the story and stuff, I that is not her fault. Like, Will Smith and her, they were the best part of that movie. Every other character was just kind of lost on the wayside. The only, like, few good parts were when Will Smith and her were talking or just chatting. They didn't even have many scenes together somehow. But they were like, it's a shame that they had such talented actors that they couldn't really do anything interesting with, even though both of the actors were on their A game and willing to do what they needed to do for the script. And at the end of the day, the script sucked. So, like, I can't
Yeah.
blame any of the actors, really. And it's just a huge shame, because it's a lot of money wasted and a lot of time wasted.
A lot of the time when you see a bad movie, I think it generally it's the script that's screwed up. The writer screwed up, the editor screwed up, the director screwed up.
Yeah.
Most of the time you can't really blame the actor,
Oh, yeah.
but they're because they're just doing their job.
Yeah, even
And
like
if the
even
people
when the
around
actor...
them
Sorry, go ahead.
aren't doing their when people around them aren't doing their job, like the writer, the director, the editor, you can't really blame the actor for it.
Yeah, and like
Like,
most of the time, like, and that's such a great that you brought that up, because the recent Venom movie is getting trashed by critics.
but here's the
And-
thing: everyone who isn't a critic loves it.
Yeah, and the other thing that, like, is consistent in every single review I've seen of it, every single person that has seen this movie I've seen a review from has been like, "Oh, Tom Hardy is great. The rest of the movie sucks, though." And I'm like, that is a story that's been told so many times. This main actor is awesome, but this movie is dog shit. And I guess a good example of that, also to sort of tie back to our prior discussion of the Resident Evil movies, is Mila Jovovich, who is one of the most amazing actresses to walk the earth, in my opinion, is in these really, really dumb movies. I think they're actually directed by her husband, the Resident Evil movies. Bit of fun trivia for you. But, and maybe that's why she does so well in them, is she pours her soul into this silly character. and makes her so entertaining to watch. Just because she's doing it. She's trying so hard and she gives a shit. And the script is silly in those movies. The acting in a lot of other places, not necessarily by her, is really overdone and cringy. But all those parts come together and make the movie awesome. Because if she was like just yawning her way through it and didn't care at all, that would have been a different story. Those movies would have just been lazy. But now they act as like they exist as really, really, really misguided passion pieces about the Resident Evil universe, I guess. And the reason they're entertaining is because, while misguided, they are passion pieces. Somebody did give a shit about those movies. Somebody was really adamant about having 5 or 6 of them made. And I am extremely glad that they have been made.
I'm not gonna lie, I have every one of the Resident Evil movies made,
Oh, really?
but I have not watched them. I tried to
Really?
watch them at one point, and I'm like, these movies suck so much ass. My mom loves them. My mom doesn't even know where Resident Evil came from, but she loves the movies.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
same with my mom.
And knowing where it came from, I'm like, these are ass.
Yeah, it's
And I
that
just-
extra layer, like knowing how astray they've gone from the actual source material. I think that's another level of amusement to them.
I think Underworld's like the worst one.
Underworld, I don't find as entertaining because Underworld, I feel like, takes itself a little bit more seriously. And I feel like the Resident Evil movies just don't. Or when they do, it's so bizarre when they do it. So, I mean, having said that, like, I like bad movies. I like bad movies that were bad ideas to make, but somebody clearly had some fun with them. Like the Doom movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it. I like that movie. A lot of people fucking hate that movie. I think that movie's hilarious. I watch that movie every day of the week if I could. Because it's got violence, it's got one-liners, it's got bad acting, it's got a weird-ass plot, and it's based on a video game. Like, oh, just a smorgasbord, dude. I love it.
Just a smorgasbord of trash.
It's like, it's weird. It's almost like if enough bad stuff put together, it makes something amazing. It's, I don't know. You know how, like, if there's a video game where one part of it's broken, it can really piss you off because otherwise it would have been good. And
Right.
then there's some video games that are like WWE 2019, where nothing fucking works. Nothing in the game makes sense. And it's just two strangely proportioned men running around the ring, punching each other, whacking each other with the metal stairs that lead up to the ring, and then randomly having one of them lose, even though you have next to no control over what's happening. That is hilarious. That's why WWE 2019 is probably one of the best video games ever made, because it is just such a fucking disaster. It is so, it's like, it's unplayable, dude. It's, if you just like load it up and like have you and your friend play a match of it, like, holy shit, like nothing makes sense. It like tells you to press buttons and then you press the buttons and then nothing happens. And sometimes it'll say like success and sometimes it'll say fail. It like is zero consistency. It's just weird. It's an experience to be had. But it leaves a mark. It leaves an impression on you. Because it doesn't let you down because you went in there with zero expectations. And you came out with expectations of bad shit you can see in other places. So that's me
Right.
making my big rant about why awful things are actually the best things ever.
And there's legit like games that are so bad they're amazing, but I really can't think of one off the top of my head right now that's like, holy shit, this game is terrible, but at the same time it's awesome.
I know on YouTube there's this creator Video Game Donkey, you might have heard of him.
Yeah, I've
There's
heard of
this
Video Game Donkey.
there's this one video he did on this game called Interview from Hell or something, and exactly what I'm describing. I I'll text you the link or something. But holy
Right.
shit, it's so bad. The plot is bad. The voice acting is atrocious. It like the game graphically looks bad. It's weird. It's but the whole video Donkey is laughing his ass off because he's just like it's just entertaining. And it's oof. I'll send you the link.
All right. See, that's the thing. Video games are supposed to be a source of entertainment. And
Yes.
I feel like the industry at large has lost like that feel for telling stories, that feel for being entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's cycling back to what we were talking about, how Lara Croft literally just tits on a pole.
It's actually called Report from Hell, my bad.
Alright, sounds good. And it just feels like the video game industry has lost its way. We're not getting games like Earthbound, these amazing, thought-provoking, spine-chilling games. It's like, this game has meat to it. It feels like every game we're getting now is just like a cash grab. Like, oh, we have the licenses, let's use them to make this shitty game.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the reason I quit Grand Theft Auto Online, is because if you want to actually do anything productive economically in that game, it's boring and tedious and not fun. If you dick around with your friends, it's great fun. But, like, the actual gameplay of the game that it wants you to do to make money and stuff isn't fun. And that's why I, like, stopped playing it, because, like, I wasn't having fun. And then I started playing games like,
Boring, grinding, and repetitive.
yeah, exactly. And then I started playing games like Resident Evil and stuff, Dead Space, because those are games that are trying to spook you and elicit a response from you, and they're funny and cheesy sometimes, and that's what I wanted. And when I played them, I had an awesome time. And they didn't like I didn't feel obligated to play them, because that's the biggest thing that pissed me off. That's why I took a extended siesta from Destiny 2. Is I felt obligated to play that game just because of
Did
like
you ever get
limited events and stuff.
Did you ever get the chance to play um, Earthbound as a kid?
Sadly not, but I am familiar with Earthbound and what's
The
the
Mother
second one's
series in
called
general.
Mother. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called. There's Mother 1, Earthbound, and I think Mother 3. Because I
Yeah,
think Earthbound was Mother 2.
Earthbound
think.
is something else, dude. With the
There
whole
is
the
a
imagery at the end with the Gaius
oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
Gigas or yeah,
Yeah.
Gygas.
Yeah.
There's a YouTuber I watch. He's a super like Nintendo nerd,
Hmm.
and he just finished his Redux playthrough of Earthbound. I mean,
Hmm.
and it's horrifying what he talks about, what he goes through this game. He talks about like all the symbolism and the imagery, while at the same time it's like this game is fun. It tells a story of a boy going on an adventure to save the world. We don't get games like that anymore.
You really don't. And that's why, like,
And it
I will defend Kingdom Hearts till I fucking die, because those games are so goddamn fun. And there's so many people, and I feel I don't hate them. I feel bad for them, but they don't live. They don't live a little. Like Kingdom Hearts has cringy dialogue. It has so many like Riku, don't go to the darkness. Like it's funny, and it's obviously for kids. I'm 22 years
right,
old and I love that shit because A, I played it as a kid, so it has major nostalgic stock with me. And B, they're just fun. You get to bash people around and there's all these cool particle effects when you bash them. It's cool. I like it.
right.
And
And the combat's fluid. The
yeah,
story's fucking cringe. There's no doubt about
the
it.
story is cringe and the story is confusing as fuck also. but
It
I
has more lore
actually
than Dark Souls.
yeah, I actually know it just from playing all these games. And I'll play these games and I'll understand what's happening, but I'll be thinking about it like, how the hell is like a 13-year-old boy supposed to understand what the hell is going on in this game? And I guess I just got it when I was younger because I was obsessed and I played them a lot. But those are games that are fun. They have their cringy moments, they have their funny moments, they have their heartfelt moments. They have their parts that didn't really age well. I'm looking at you, Atlantica, in both Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Um,
You know, people hate on the gummy ships, people hate on Atlantica, but if you ask me, those are two of the best parts of the game. Those are my two favorite parts.
really? Dude, I gotta
Mainly,
just
mainly
get you to
because
do
as a
those parts
kid.
for me whenever I get to those parts. Call you up and be like, all
Mainly
right,
because
sorry, go ahead.
the one in Kingdom Hearts 2 was fucking terrible because you had to keep leaving and coming back. Like, if you could
Yeah.
just do it in one run, it would have been fine.
Hmm.
But the fact that you had to be like, oh, you need to come back with Magnet or Miraga, and it's just like, why? Or, oh,
Yeah.
you need Thundaga to do this part. Is like, why?
Yeah,
Why?
I wish I could have just ripped it off like a band-aid. Also, I think I found out in Kingdom Hearts 1 you can skip Atlantica, I think.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
it
you can. I think you can go around it.
I didn't know that until my fourth time playing through the game. I was playing through it originally when I was a kid. I was playing through it with my ex-girlfriend. I was playing through it for 100% completion on normal difficulty or something. And then I was playing through it on proud mode. And on my proud mode playthrough, I realized, wait, I could just straight to Monstro and just skip this world entirely. And it was the best fucking decision I ever made in my life.
See, I personally don't see what's so bad about it in Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 2, I can see people's complaints with it because it's just like musical quick time event plays.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little better in Kingdom Hearts 2 because then you can just get it over with. I think the thing that annoyed me in Kingdom Hearts 1 is, first of all, you got to control a whole additional axis. And
Swimming control was
90,
kind of shit.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was not ideal for sure. Um, and they made it a little better in Kingdom Hearts 2, but you don't do a lot of swimming, so like it's sad that the better swimming controls are in a game that barely makes use of them. But that's a different story. But in Kingdom Hearts 1, like it really limits your ability to do combos because when you're on foot, you can do all these flashy like in-air combos and spiral attacks and everything. But when you're half merman or whatever, you can only do like a default combo. And like a
I
lot of
think
your
you're a
abilities are
dolphin.
yeah, a lot of your abilities are just like worthless. Um, because a lot of your combo plus abilities, I think, get just negated. You gotta rely a lot more on
Right.
magic, which like if you're not doing a magic build, then that can be kind of annoying. Implying there's builds in Kingdom Hearts. Um, and Ursula can kind of be annoying as a boss fight. I don't really mind that part as much. I don't have really any problems with most of the boss fights in that franchise. Um,
I think the reason why I like Atlantica and Kingdom Hearts 2 so much was because of the Ursula boss fight.
oh really? The one where you got like use your magic on her cauldron thing?
Well, no, the quick time event one in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh,
Where,
and the second one. Yeah, the
yeah.
precious poopsies hasten to my side. Yeah.
Sorry, mommy, your poopsies are toast. That
You see,
I
it
love that
stuck
line.
with us. It stuck with us. That's a good game. It was one of
Exactly.
the arguably one of the stupidest parts of the game, but god damn it, did it stick with us because it was unique and it was engaging. It wasn't trying to be
The
all serious. It just it did something fun.
the worst part in Kingdom Hearts 2, in my opinion, is the beginning, where you have to like run all those jobs and you have to stick around with these stupid kids that have no impact on the story whatsoever.
Yeah. Though I do gotta say, like having having played Kingdom Hearts, I think it's 358 over 2 days.
Ugh.
Roxas and his story, I think it's important for developing a kind of melancholy tone that they had a bit in Kingdom Hearts 2. Because I feel bad for Roxas. I legitimately do. Because his entire life is a lie. And 358 days over 2, or I wish there was an abbreviated title for that I knew. But
I think it's abbreviated to 382.5 days.
okay.
I think that's the actual working title.
Jeez. That game, it can be repetitive. It's for DS, it's kind of to be expected. But the story near the end of that game is fucking heart-wrenching. It's so sad. And, it really makes you feel more for Roxas. And I remember when I first started Kingdom Hearts 2, when I was playing as Roxas, I was playing that over the summer. So, I was kind of, in the same mindset as you are for the first little part of the game. And then when that summer ends, and the game, shifts to that new kind of... it shifts to the actual game. There was a kind of, sadness in seeing the simpleness kind of go away. I felt bad that Roxas's summer was coming to an end and stuff. So
Yeah.
I would if they had the option of re-releasing Kingdom Hearts 2 but just cutting the Roxas part off, I'd actually advise them not to, because I think that there's a reason for that. It does definitely have some redundant things where you got to do the jobs to earn the money and stuff. And it does have stuff that I guess wastes your time.
If that entire thing was just a cutscene with combat tutorials in it, I think it would be great. I think it would be better. But it's how often do you ride the fucking skateboard in that game?
Yeah, that's a good point.
They literally implemented a vehicle control for that stupid skateboard that you ride once.
Well, there is an achievement for riding it and getting 4,000 points in this one area, which I did because I wanted to get all the achievements. So you'd hope that you would be done with the skateboard, but unfortunately not. I will say though that the Roxas segment, regardless of what anybody can criticize it for, it does give you two of the coolest boss fights in the entire franchise, which is the giant nobody in Roxas's sort of dive into the heart part. You know, the one that lifts you in the air and throws you and then you deflect it and it suspends you in the air. That one was cool. And then they up the ante and then you fight Axel with the two Keyblades. That's oof. That was so damn cool. And I played it recently again. It is still cool. It has never lost any of its coolness. Because you can use a reaction command to counter one of his attacks and then the room is not on fire anymore. It's a really cool fight. I think it's one of the best ones in all of Kingdom Hearts. So it does the Roxas part, for all of the criticisms that it's earned, it does have a couple really badass parts that I would not trade for the world.
Speaking of Axel, he's one of those characters that I definitely think is underrated.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to playing Dream Drop Distance, because apparently he pops up in that.
I can see why people don't like him, because he just keeps repeating the same line over and over and over again. But at the same time, he's a human character. He lost his best friend, basically.
Oh yeah,
Axel and he's trying He's trying everything he can in his power to get his best friend back. Well, not trying to step on the toes of the organization so he himself doesn't get erased.
Yeah, my heart fucking weeps for Axel, dude. The stuff he gets put through is... In some ways, it's worse than Roxas, because Roxas gets, his memory kind of wiped. So he doesn't really have, the guilt or the sorrow that he would have for forgetting his friends. But like Axel basically needs to stand there as somebody who like his only true friend really, other than Shion as well. I don't think Axel has any other friends on the Earth. He's just by himself really in the organization until he meets Roxas and Shion, and then Sora also. And those are like his only friends. And then imagining needing to go through the experience of having one of your friends look at you and have no idea who you are. That's really fucked up. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
And
So,
again, he's not just that spiky red Sonic the Hedgehog OC.
yeah.
He's a character with actual human emotions. He feels human.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing, like, so many of the organization members are made to seem cold and emotionless. Some of them aren't. Some of them have a lot of personality, but a lot of them are, like, cold and emotionless to show, like, what the creation of them has caused to happen to them. But, like, Axel has always stood apart from the rest of the organization. Just for being, like...
Looks like He reminds me of a Bleach character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not
definitely.
gonna lie. Axel reminds me a lot of, like, Renji. For some reason.
All I know is, like, I think he's a really cool character. I like how he's, like, kind of like a double agent sometimes in the organization. It's like in Chain of Memories and stuff. So he's just such a cool character. And then like he ends up like he realizes what happened with Roxas and everything. And what like how Roxas is like part of Sora. And then he helps Sora get to the world that never was. Like he has that big thing where he like sacrifices himself to defeat all those enemies and let them into the world. And then you get
Right.
the bond of flame Keyblade, which is already like super symbolic and awesome. But like the fact that he was willing to like after all he went through and ended up giving up his own life for somebody that wasn't even directly his friend, but this sort of reincarnation of his friend. That's like that's quite an event. That's quite
Sorry, I
like
think I missed all of that. My controller died, like, right
oh
now.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I was basically saying how like Axel is amazing because he is even willing to give up his life, not directly even for his friend, but for the sort of reincarnation of his friend.
The original version
By
of
helping
his friend.
Sora. Yeah. Like that's a very kind of like mature and probably harrowing decision he needed to make. But he did it without hesitation because like as much as he like pretends to be the bad guy and pretends to be like cold and everything, like he genuinely does care about his friends. And I don't know, maybe that has something to do with him reappearing in a game, one of the games I haven't played yet. Maybe that sort of like redeemed him from being a nobody or from being a heartless at some point or whatever. But he's definitely one of the coolest characters. No pun intended. Because he uses fire.
The Keyblades in that game, or in all the Kingdom Hearts games, are all really, like, symbolic in a way.
Oh
Like,
yeah, especially like Oathkeeper and Oblivion.
Oathkeeper and Oblivion are my two favorite. I hate how in Kingdom Hearts 1, Oathkeeper was a shorty. I can't. I hate shorties.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things
Just
to do
like,
in Kingdom Hearts 2
yeah.
is go Master Mode while dual-wielding Oblivion and Oathkeeper.
Oh yeah.
And that's just like the definitive Sora is holding Oathkeeper and Oblivion.
Yeah. Plus, especially because he's in Master form, which makes use of Donald and Goofy.
It's
So if you wanted to
basically...
take it even further.
And It's basically the dark and the light inside of Sora coming out at the same time. It's yin and yang fighting each other for control. And that's another thing that I
Yeah,
love about Master Mode is that if you use it too much, you become a Heartless.
yeah. If you use your forms frequently enough, you you'll be stuck going into anti-form, which is also anti-form is fucking cool. I know it can dick you over more often than it helps you, but God, that is such a cool like mode. The whole forms system from Kingdom Hearts 2 is one of the most fun and exciting things I've seen in a video game. I remember when I was in like fifth grade or something, and my friend Jamil was telling me about how there's this new Kingdom Hearts game, and you can hold two keyblades. He's basically describing Valor Form to me,
Hmm.
and he was like showing me with his hands like how you hold the keyblades, and I was like, "You're fucking kidding me! No way!" Except like I was in fourth grade or whatever, so I didn't talk like that. But I was like it was almost too cool for me to fathom. And when I used them in game, it surpassed my expectations. And then there was Wisdom Form, which is completely different. And then there's Master Form, and then like by chance I unlocked Final Form, and I literally needed to pause the game and like calm down because I had no idea it existed, and I got it randomly when I was in like the Imperial City,
Final
like
Form?
fighting a bunch of those. Yeah,
I
do you
don't
know Final Form?
I don't recall it. If you describe it to me, I
It's
might
the one
remember it.
where you might have been mixing it up with Master Form. Final Form's the one where Sora's floating around and his keyblades are sort of moving on their own. His arms are like down, and his costume is black and white.
No, I don't remember that. I when I was talking about Master Mode, I do know what I was talking about, but I don't remember Final
It's the yellow
Form.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I was
well, you might want to crack open Kingdom Hearts 2 again, my dude.
Yeah. I mean, do you have to do
Final
anything?
Form, you get it randomly.
Okay.
I think like once you get to a certain point in the story, I think as soon as you start visiting worlds for the second time, you have the possibility when you're using a form to go to into final form instead.
See,
And
I think that's kind of why I've never seen it because when I was a kid, I didn't really use the forms very much,
mm,
and
yeah, that's
uh,
probably why.
and when I was just kind of bored and I was looking up some Kingdom Hearts stuff, the Let's Play I watched, he never really used the forms either, and when he did, he was kind of disincentivized from it because every time he went into Master Form or tried, he would always go into reverse form. And
Oh yeah,
he was like, "Fuck this shit, man."
yeah. It's even harsher because they intentionally up the chance of you transforming into anti-form during boss fights and during like difficult parts of the game,
Dude, that's why
which is just it's evil.
he kept trying to use Master Form in that fight at Beast Castle, and he just kept
I know
changing into
exactly.
Anti-Form.
Yeah,
And he's like,
yeah.
"Oh my fucking god, I've been here for literally 3 hours trying to beat this guy, and I just can't." Mickey comes out of nowhere and shoves his Keyblade up my ass, and ah,
In my opinion, that's the hardest fight in the game.
oh
And
yeah,
like I'm playing through the game on critical mode currently, and I'm I'm terrified of needing to do that fight.
dude.
I was able to do it in the organization data battles, which
Mhm.
is this thing where you can fight the organization members, turned up to 11 as many times as you want at the end of the game, and it makes them ridiculous. Like I remember the first time I went in and fought Larxene, the lightning lady from Painted Memories.
Uh huh.
She did like two charges, which like I couldn't even like see, just and just killed me in two hits. Um, so it's ridiculous. And I was like level like 80 or something. Like I was not like just wandering in there randomly. Um, but
I know
what was he saying?
when I was
Oh, critical mode. Yeah, that guy's tough.
when I was when I was looking at Kingdom Hearts stuff one day when I was bored, I came across this guy
Hello?
Okay. I think after this last part, or this last little tangent, I think it's time to get off, because everything's just, like, saying it's time to go.
All right.
So, uh, this guy, like I was saying, this guy I was watching, just randomly, he was ranking the bosses easiest to hardest off of
Mhm.
his hardest difficulty mode, Kingdom Key only run.
Jeez.
And he's
Did
like,
he put Lingering Will at the top?
I don't remember exactly, but I think one of like the top 5 was that fight with. I can never remember their names, but it was a guy at Beast
Zaldan.
Castle. Yeah, Zaldan.
That guy's a fucking nightmare, dude. Like,
And
I've been playing Kingdom Hearts for like 7 years or something crazy like that. And to this day, I could not give you a good strategy for Zaldan. He's just brutally difficult in every release of the game.
yeah, all these games that have come out in the past, where is the soul gone? Where is the heart and soul of the video game industry gone?
I don't know, dude. Like, I can kind of see, like, when you make a game nowadays, that game needs to actively make you money after its launch, basically, because of the amount of budgets they're putting in these things. So that's why there's like these loot box systems. There's like these vast amounts of DLC and everything.
Yeah, the live.
It's all for the purpose of making more than $60 a game when you sell a game.
I know it's just BS to me, man.
I absolutely agree. I think the last game that kind of did it right, and this is an overstatement. I'm sure there's other games that like have come out since that I still like. Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, both at launch, awesome games. Definitely enough substance to validate the price. On top of that, they each released a series of DLC, which in general was good, was very good.
I love the
Like Point
Fallout.
Lookout. Go
I
ahead.
love I love the Fallout New Vegas DLC where you go into when you get your brain stolen
Yeah.
and
What's it called? Mothership Zeta? No, not
no,
Mothership Zeta.
Mothership Zeta's the alien one from Fallout
That's the alien
3.
one.
I forgot.
What was that one
It's not
called?
Lonesome Road. It's something else. But anyway, I told my one friend about it. He's like, "That is the greatest thing ever. That toaster is my god."
Yeah, dude, that toaster. If you bring those power gloves to that toaster and then he like charges them up, you can sell them for a lot of money. And I found this way you can encircle that building and then wait 24 hours and do it again and again and again and just farm up a bunch of weapons. And I basically found a way in New Vegas to have infinite caps and money and everything because I would just get countless superheated whatever glove things you'd get through the toaster and just sold them like crazy. And that was fun. And then I bought a bunch of awesome ammo from the Gun Runners DLC they added, which was a small one, but it was such a great quality of life change. And then there's like Fallout 3's got Point Lookout. There's another really big one they did. I don't recall. But
Mothership Zeta was
those are
pretty good.
games. Mothership Zeta was also good. Operation Anchorage was kind of all right. I like the fancy assault rifle you can get from the end of it.
You know,
Um,
Operation Anchorage was actually a really cool DLC in my opinion.
It covered a lot of history. I know that you like
Yeah,
history and stuff.
it's heavy lore wise, so
Mm,
that's kind of one of the reasons why I like it so much. That and all the really
yeah.
cool weapons, and it's easy to power farm levels off of Operation Anchorage at the beginning, and that's kind of what I did. You can get there from
Oh, I
level
didn't know
1.
about that.
Yeah, level 1, you can just go straight there, and you can basically come out like level 10.
That's awesome. Maybe I'll do that next time I play Fallout 3. But yeah, those are games where you pay the $60, you get a damn good game. You get $60 worth of game, and then the DLC was relatively cheap, from what I recall, and they contained a lot.
Fallout New
Um,
Vegas' DLC was kind of expensive.
yeah, and some of them were kind of less impactful.
Yeah, it
Like
was
the
kind of like
Gunrunners one just expanded inventories and stuff.
Gunrunners was like $5.
Yeah,
And I was just like, no, I'm not
but
paying $5 for that.
but I gotta say, like, I think that that's kind of where they kind of hit their stride as far as how much money they could get out of the game while still releasing actual content for it.
Right.
And then I wish I knew where it started. I know it started with some loot boxes, maybe like CS:GO or something, and then that infiltrated the console market. I'm
Yeah,
not
I think
100% sure.
I it was definitely CS:GO that kind of started the craze, and then Overwatch basically helped it blow up.
Yeah. And I know that like the predatory DLC kind of thing, where they just release tons of just pointless cosmetic DLC items. I think that started before Overwatch, and I think it started before the loot box craze hit console. I think that was something that maybe started in a few select games.
The cosmetics
Um,
DLC, for me, I think it started around Dead Space 3. Dead Space 3 was like, here's a suit for Isaac, $5. Here's another one. You can only get it by opening Slim Jims. It's just like, what
yeah.
the fuck does Slim Jims have to do with Dead Space?
Also, you know how you can have those little robots like get materials for you when you're away?
Oh yeah, you
Um,
give us $10 to make it faster.
Yeah, they like there's an upgrade to make it faster, there's an upgrade to make it pick up more, and there's an upgrade to, I don't know, reduce the cooldown or whatever. But I'll admit, like, I bought those back in the day when I first played Dead Space 3 because like I was like, well, this is gonna save me 30 hours or something. Are my 30 hours worth $10? Just probably not, but whatever. And it ended up like I wasn't happy about it, but it was like a necessity. And sadly, that's kind of something that has appeared here and there in other games. Though I know they try to focus on cosmetics less than actual gameplay necessities.
You'll end up like Battlefront 2 EA if you try to
Jeez,
do a necessity.
I can't believe they botched that one so bad. Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PS2 is one of the most fun video games of all time. I remember the invincibility code in that game to this day. It's fun. It's got a good system. It's got its
Up, down, down, left,
capacity for
right,
silly things
A, B,
happening.
select, start.
It's up, left, down, left, up, left, right. And you can check that online and you will find that it is true. Um,
Dude, you know
I think
what?
like my little brother remembered the infinite ammo one, but I don't know that one.
Yes. So I was perusing through my my Steam library the other day, and I found out I
Hmm.
had Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, when did I get KOTOR? And I kept looking at it. I was like, when did I get KOTOR? Son of a bitch, I'm playing KOTOR. So that's something that I might stream, just kind of like fucking around in KOTOR, because I've never played it.
Yeah, I've never played it either. That's something I'd probably tune in for to see what the haps is.
The only thing I really know about it is it's super overpowered to go into the dark side until you get the lightning storm and then go into the light side.
Mm.
I heard that's super overpowered.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. I think I got like a bunch of Star Wars games on Steam from like a Humble Bundle a long time ago. So
That's
that's
probably
like
where
that's
I
why I
got it
have
from.
Battlefront 2 on there. I think I have KOTOR also. And then a few just random other Star Wars games that I don't know if I'll actually play. But yeah, looks pretty cool. Anyway, I've got to call it a night. It's almost 1 a.m.
Yeah, we've been sitting here chatting for like 3 hours.
Dude, it's always about cool shit though, you know?
Yeah,
It's
this is
never
going to
about like the weather or anything.
this is going to be a pretty good podcast.
Yeah, this impromptu podcast. What's been on your screen this whole time? Are you just like at the Overwatch menu or something?
Yeah, I think the game went into maintenance to fix that issue that they were having earlier. Remember when you logged in, they had that message up that
Oh,
said there was an
yeah.
issue. So it just kicked me out to the start menu, and it's just been like this for like
Cool.
an hour.
I'm glad that it didn't just like murk the stream. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have to do another one of these sometime soon.
Oh yeah, of course.
Cool. Have a good night, dude.
You too.